This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a 5 on a deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Dolis Garcia sends one the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the wall. And the legend grows. Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
Julio with an absolute nuke out to left field.
It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
We ready to rock? Are we ready to rock, Commander?
We are. Big show today.
We have a huge show today because I've got the top researcher, television talent, brilliance from ESPN is coming on today. Paul Hembekides from the morning show, Get Up. All the info that you hear on Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Baseball comes from him. Paul Hembekides, better known as Hembo. You hear him on the Baseball Tonight podcast with Buster Olney. He's got his own thing with his partner. What's his name again? Greeny.
Aren't they in the Radio Hall of Fame? Him and Golick go.
Him and Golick did.
Yeah, Mike and Mike.
Do they go on the Radio Hall of Fame?
Let's find out.
I don't think you really need to look that up. I don't think people really starting the show with the fact that
Greenberg and Golick were inducted into the National Association of Broadcasters Broadcasting Hall of Fame and the National Radio Hall of Fame in 2018. Wow. They won them before Mad Dog.
This is how we're starting the show?
History.
Wow. Hembo's going to join us at 1:30. Bill Moriarty from the Athletics Farm. Hey, Jacob Wilson keep hitting?
He's having a nice little run there in Vegas after coming off the injured list.
Okay.
I know they didn't play last night because of weather in Sugarland, but yes, he's still hitting.
Yeah, they have the remnants. Houston did, and of course, Sugarland's like 30 miles, 30 minutes, whatever it is. It's 30-something outside of Houston. So was it Burl? Was Hurricane Burl the remnants of Hurricane Burl? A lot of flooding there in Houston. Houston floods, and that's what you remember when the city flooded. It's so scary because you're talking about the fourth or fifth largest city in the country.
Correct, yeah.
That many people flooding. It's really, really scary. So a lot to get into with Bill Moriarty. And then at 3 o'clock, A's fans, we got him here, Mason Miller, the All-Star. That's right. Mason Miller stops by A's Cast Live before he heads to Arlington. And it's such a treat to have him on the program. Great get by you, Commander. And also we want to thank Mark Ling and the PR staff for making this happen. A lot of people who are, trying to get his time right now. I know he was on with our buddies, the Power Alley, with Mike Farron and Jim Duquette. See, I tell you, we bring the biggest names of the sport onto you, folks. The Power Alley had him on earlier today.
So if it wasn't Farron, it was someone filling in, but Duke was there. Was it Joyce, the guy that is it at night?
Jim
maybe?
Joyce.
Was it maybe him? Is that who his name is?
Yeah,
Jeff Joyce is one of the Joyce guys.
Jim Joyce.
I think it was him. It wasn't Jensen Lewis or our guy Chris Jimenez.
So Power Alley had him on today, and it's just such a wonderful story. It really is a wonderful story. It's touching to a lot of us parents of children who have type 1 diabetes. When the disease happens and the diagnosis happens, it's very, very scary. And it's very scary, and it's something that you realize will be a lifelong ordeal for your child. And Mason Miller is somebody who's very inspirational right now to a lot of young kids, teenagers who have diabetes, because you wonder, like, my life is going to be changed. My life has been altered. It's going to be like this forever. And I'm going to have to live with this, work through it, whether it's job-related, relationship-related, whatever. Everything in my life will be affected by this. Now it's like the first thing for my wife and I kind of pull behind the curtain as our our daughter is going to be going to college. So this will be the first time that she's away from us, but we can monitor her Dexcom. We know exactly where she is at all times. And I mean, it's going to be a big adjustment as parents. This is something that we have talked about on this show plenty of times with Bob Melvin, whose daughter's a diabetic, Sam Fold, general manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, former athletic. We've talked to him about it. I talked to him about it at the winter meetings. Who else? There's somebody else that I talked about. And I know I've talked about it before in the past with Mason Miller, but it's, Mason Miller is an inspiration just not to baseball fans. He's inspiration to baseball fans. He's an inspiration to a lot of people who suffer from type 1 diabetes. And we will talk to him about that. And also super cool about taking it behind the curtain a little more. Super cool when talking about our interview with Mason Miller today. Mason Miller, how awesome is that? I mean, he's such a good kid. Mason Miller, so he made sure he had great cell reception. It's not going to be on video. It's going to be old school, where it's just going to be over the phone.
We really are going old school.
We're going old school. We're kicking it old school. Mason Miller went to the top of the Green Monster. The Monster. I'm going to park my car in Harvard Yard from Boston. So he's at the top of the Green Monster while he does the interview. So not only are we getting Mason Miller, your all-star today, we're getting Mason Miller from the Green Monster. And when we taped the interview before, so I said, picture football being played in front of you. He's like, you serious? And I go, yeah, they've played college football game. Boston College, Notre Dame, they've played football games. Years ago, the Boston Patriots, you know them because you're such a Tom Brady fan, the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. They were the Boston Patriots, and just like the Chicago Bears played at Wrigley Field, the Boston Patriots, they played at Fenway Park.
I go back as far as Steve Grogan. That's how far I go back.
You don't go back to Nick Bonacani and the Boston Patriots back in the day? Yeah, they played. I think that would be one of the coolest experiences ever to go to a big-time college. They've had a bowl game there now, haven't they, at Fenway?
Yeah, I forget which one was it?
Because they have the Yankee Bowl game at Yankee Stadium, new Yankee Stadium, which would be awesome. I worked a couple bowl games at Pac Bell Park back in the day, and it, even though it was weird, it was super cool to be doing football at I don't remember if it was Pac Bell Park or AT&T, what it was at the time. But I also did a couple Cal games for what would have been Comcast Sportsnet. You know them now as NBC Sports Bay Area. I did sidelines for a couple Cal games. See, I've been around Cal more than you think.
Well, I sent you the article yesterday. CBS ranked the coaches on the hot seat, all 134 of them. Wilcox got a 3 out of 5 on the scale. It's
he's on the hot seat.
No, it's not warm, but it's starting to get warmer is how they labeled it. Our guy at San Jose State got a 1, meaning he's safe.
Yeah,
he's the coach again.
He's fine.
Like Wasabi Fenway Bowl is what it's called.
Yeah, so I think it would be awesome. And did Mason say it in the interview, or did he just say to us that I got to come back here and do this?
He said it in the
interview,
yeah.
Like sitting on top of the Green Monster, whether you're watching baseball or football, would just be incredible. I mean, that he calls it a bucket list. Like someday come back as a fan and just do it. I mean, how cool would it be with you and your buddies sitting on top of Fenway Park watching baseball or watching a college football game? That'd be incredible.
I just want to go to Fenway once.
You've never been to Fenway?
Not yet. I mean,
oh my God.
I mean, this weekend will be my first time at Citizens Bank and Camden. I'm excited to go to Camden.
Oh my, Fenway Park. You go in there and it's just like, I said it in the post-game show last night. It's like you're going back into time. Like the ballpark has not changed. There are still seats that people pay a lot of money, and there's a pole that supports the upper structure that's in your way. Did I tell you in 99? So when we went back for the Baseball Hall of Fame inductions, we went from Cooperstown, New York. We drove up, go the Mass Pike, go all the way up to back to into Boston. So we had seats near home plate, but we went out, we took pictures, because from the very site you can touch the You can touch the green monster, take pictures. Well, we went down. There's this one place where the seats come down from the green monster and then the seats come over from the dugout. It comes to a point and there's one seat. You're your own row, one seat. And that person didn't show up. And there was a bunch of seats. I went and sat in that one seat. They were playing the Baltimore Orioles. Right there in front of you, playing shortstop was Cal Ripken. My buddies and I and my brother, we were sitting there. We're smoking down beers. We're in Boston. Literally, one of the bars, I can't remember the name of it, that would be on the first base line. Would that be Yawkey Way? You get out of you go down in the bar. Everything is so old, right? I mean, Fenway was built in 1914. So those streets are really narrow. Everything was built like well before probably in 18 whatever. That part of town was built in 18 whatever. Like I'm sending Road Trip Mike, I sent to the Union Oyster House. It's the oldest restaurant in the United States of America. It started serving food. Take a guess. If you weren't listening to the postgame show last night, and I recommend this to everybody, and even if you don't like seafood, you got to go there because it's so historic. They started serving food in what year?
1835.
1826.
Damn, that's good. Close.
18, and the road next to it is a cobblestone road. Cobblestone. Not asphalt. Cobblestone. That's how old this place is.
I've only ever seen that once. My aunt owned a restaurant in Savannah, Georgia, and it was called Cobblestone Cafe because it was on the Cobblestone Road there in Savannah,
crazy,
right by
huh?
the Savannah River. Yeah, it's
we're
like going back in time.
The horses and the carriages would be. You're like, this is like great. And I remember we were in the bar, and literally, you step out of the bar, take like 5 steps across the street, and you're going into the ballpark. I mean, that's how close you are to the ballpark. It's like 10, 12 steps from the bar to the opening of to the side gate getting into Fenway Park.
Isn't Wrigley set up the same way kind of too with all the bars around there?
Yeah, but you're in a neighborhood. Wrigley, you're in a you're like in a middle-class neighborhood, it's kind of like, homes are cool. You're in a neighborhood though. So they're like neighborhood bars. And now Wrigley, the Cubs have bought a bunch of stuff and they've changed some stuff. Like Lambeau Field, when I went with the Raiders to Lambeau Field's completely changed from what it was like because basically the Packers bought everything around it. So they now have bars and restaurants. There's a Top Golf. There's like all kinds of – there's this crazy slide that people go down in the wintertime. It's snow and it's a slide. Like all that wasn't there. Years ago, they were just homes. Like it was, a middle-class type, home setting, suburbia. I mean, that'd be the best place. Like Wrigley Field's in suburbia. But there's bars around it, and you could like the Cubby Bear. There's ones right behind it. There's the also one of the real famous one that was super cool out in center field. But Fenway's different. Fenway, you're in the city. It was built whenever, 18 whatever, and Fenway's built in 1914, and you feel it. You feel like you've been transported back into time when you're in that neighborhood. Like you can be in a bar or a restaurant setting at Fenway Park and be right across from Fenway, and you're closer than you are if you are parked in the Coliseum and you're parked barbecuing and walking in. I mean, you're literally, 12 yards. It's that close. It's crazy because the road in between the businesses and Fenway, it's an old tiny road. I mean, they're not really built for cars. So they closed it down, and they got the vendor. It's one of the best Italian sausages I've ever had. Was right there on the street, right next to Fenway Park. I hate the Red Sox, but I respect what they got going. It's awesome.
You're not – well, 2 things. You're not supposed to hate the Red Sox. You're a Celtics owner, although you guys are selling your ownership.
So I haven't really told the story that much, but I inherited a share of the Boston Red Sox, of the Boston Celtics years ago.
NBA champion. You're
yes,
a champion.
I'm an owner. I'm an owner of technically. I am one of the owners of the Boston Celtics, and they're selling, and my share will be worth nothing. But and I'm not getting a ring, and Larry Bird is not delivering the ring to my house either. Larry Bird's not walking through that door with Kevin McHale or
Robert Parrish
or the Chief.
Bob Cousy ain't helping out, or Red.
He's dead.
Did I go too far back in time for you?
Yes.
The other thing I was going to say too about, you were talking about being in the bars. Do you feel the ghosts of Paul Revere while you're there? You said you're like going back in time.
You can do Paul Revere's route to the famous church, and
The redcoats are coming.
Oh my God, you can do it. I've done it.
I need to get there.
Philadelphia is the same way. Like Philadelphia and Boston. I mean, wow. I mean, Philadelphia was essentially when you go to the Liberty Bell and then across the street at Independence Hall. I mean, that's where our government started.
I'm going there Friday.
Like literally, Philadelphia is where our government started. And you go into Independence Hall, and it's a national monument. The Rangers, you do the tour in there. And they're like, oh, yeah, Thomas Jefferson sat there. George Washington sat there. And you're like, wow.
That's a who's who of people.
Yo, yeah, it's a big list.
We're not talking about going in there, talking about Yaz and Ted Williams and Red Sox legends. We're talking about the founding fathers of our country.
Yeah, and I know everybody thinks Hamilton, that's how it all went down, but that's a play. Hamilton did play a big role, Alexander Hamilton, because it was him and Thomas Jefferson. They had to decide where are we going to put the capital. Once they made everything happen in Philadelphia, where are they going to put the capital? And Hamilton argued and got business for New York, and Thomas Jefferson got the capital in their neck of the woods. Why do we have the Electoral College that people now want to get rid of? Well, because years ago, the majority of Americans lived near and around Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. Wasn't New York. So they were afraid back in the day that it was just people from that area would be deciding everything. So the Electoral College, which if you study it, you go, makes sense, and make sure that everybody's vote as best you can counts. And just not the people in the most populated cities. Now people use it. Well, I mean, everybody lives in New York and California. Shouldn't they decide? No. Well, back in the day, it wasn't New York, and it wasn't Boston. It wasn't Massachusetts. Most of the country, the most population was in around Virginia and Maryland and D.C. That's why the Electoral College. They were smarter than you think. I learned all that just recently. It's not like I'm not going back from my history lessons in school. It's because we did that educational trip with the kids, and we did Philadelphia. I'd already done Boston, but we went up and did D.C., and a lot of people, you go to D.C. when you're a kid, but when you go as an adult, it's a different deal because you really understand more. But, yeah, Boston's like that, too. You can do the route that Paul Revere did. I mean, it's so historic. It is so cool. And a lot of my family lives there. But I don't know how we got off on that. But if you ever get a chance to go to Boston, do it because it's a great town. People can be a little prickly at times. Depends on kind of like the weather. Bostonians are an interesting group. Very spirited people. They love to drink and they love to eat. But it's beautiful, especially in the fall when the leaves turn and everything's turning brown and the great colors. You being from, I know you're from the East Coast. You know what I'm talking about for a lot of people. If you haven't been to the East Coast, fall is really the best time of the year. You get great weather. It's nice to have a little pullover jacket on, and it's absolutely beautiful. But summertime, it's humid, but they got cool beaches and stuff too. You can go on to you rich people that go to the Hamptons and the Cape and everything like that. You rich East Coast people.
Well, first of all, my family went to the not the Jersey Shore, but pretty much close to it.
The Poconos?
No, we didn't go there either. That was a little too uppity for my mom and dad. We went to Ocean City, Maryland. That was the big vacation spot.
Yes.
Now Ocean City, Maryland's kind of not a good spot anymore. So we're actually going to Rehoboth Beach, the home of Zach Geloff, this weekend.
So in Delaware?
Yeah. That's like a big vacation destination for people on the East Coast now.
By the way,
not Martha's Vineyard. I can't afford to go there.
Oh, yeah, that's a little highfalutin for you. Yeah. If there was anything good about last night's game, to talk about last night's game was to watch the offense continue to roll. The offense has been getting it done for the Athletics. The notes are actually pretty good today. We actually have some positive. I don't know. Did someone else start doing our game notes? So we have some positives in there today? Did something change?
I mean, Geloff had, 3 hits last night, including the home run. Lawrence Butler had a home run. Happy birthday, Lawrence Butler, by the way.
How old is he, 24?
24 years old.
See how young he is? All right, the A's are batting .275, 50 runs scored in 7 games in July, averaging 7.14 runs per game. Are 19 for 57. That's .333 with runners in scoring position this month. I mean, it was so bad that is great to hear. I checked in and I told everybody last night, if you checked into the post-game show, 833-625-2278, call right now. I don't know who's in today. Is Robert in today? You can call right
Wednesday's
now.
usually Robert, so he should be there.
I was going to check with the skipper. Oh, I got the skipper's book. Did I tell you that? I got reading for Hawaii. Scott Emerson references the book. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Life's greatest lessons are gained from our losses. New York Times bestseller, John C. Maxwell. I have bought the book. Well, my wife got it.
On Amazon.
On Amazon. And I will be reading that. So he references the book constantly on our show. And I think as a professional, it's my job to understand what the hell he's talking about. We may have a new bit too. I haven't even talked to you about this, but if you were listening to the show last night, taking everything, Eno-isms.
Eno or emo?
Emo is, I can't. Eno-Ceres.
They both have isms, so.
Emo-isms, and like having like a conversation with him, like in real life. Like, oh man, I'm really down today. You know, like things have been really tough, blah, 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 blah. And then you play, Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's the first one I was thinking of.
Right? He said, we have a bunch of those. We could do a bit out of that.
Well, data doesn't lie.
Yeah, the data doesn't lie. Sometimes you're the prey. Sometimes, all the different things that he says. So we might do that. So I will be reading Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Lose. I checked with Scott Emerson because something struck me yesterday. How well, now, give Boston credit, as the great Bill Romanowski, 4-time Super Bowl champion, drilled into me every Sunday for Raiders pregame. Towny, guess what? The other team gets paid too. Yeah, the other guys get paid too. The other guys are good. Red Sox have won 7 of their last 8 games. They have the best record in baseball dating back to June 12th at 17-6. They are offensively, they're killing it right now. But did you notice, if you really pay attention to the game, it was shell-shocked as they scored 3 in the first, 8 in the second. But did you notice that they hit everything? Everything. The second batter of the game, I was making notes. I really wasn't. I mean, it's hard to get to him after a game like that. After the game, I thought I had some good stuff to talk about. But, when did everybody become Duran? Do you remember the great prize fighter, one of the toughest fighters of all time? The Hands of Stone.
Roberto Duran.
Yeah. It was Roberto Duran. Now everybody wants to be called Duran. When did that start?
It's Jaron Duran, right?
I don't know. Is it Duran or Duran?
Let's find out.
I go Duran.
Yeah, Duran is what baseball reference
But
is.
some guys now are Duran. Like it's Andujar. It's Andahar. When did it become Andujar?
Yeah, no, I keep hearing that too.
I'm like,
I've been
it's
meaning to look that
Andahar.
one. I'm meaning to look that one up too.
My Hispanic friends will tell you it's Andujar.
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 Yeah.
Andujar. Are we supposed to go
You're
Dujar?
supposed to emphasize the do, like Sean Do Little.
Andujar. Well, Duran smokes a double for the first hit of the game. It's a double off the wall. The ball was below the strike zone. The next batter, Hamilton, not Alexander Hamilton.
David.
Hamilton smokes it, a line drive into left field. Do you know where that pitch was?
I assume low in the zone.
Up and out.
Oh.
So I'm looking at MLB.com and looking at where Joey Estes is throwing the ball, and it's all over the place, and they don't miss at all. They don't miss at all in the first, and they really don't miss in the second. What does that tell you? Or what would you think? Like, well, obviously not good for Estes, but what does it also may tell you?
They were seeing the ball well. One.
Is he tipping his pitches?
I thought I didn't want to say that out loud, but yeah, I mean, they scored 11 runs in 2 innings, right?
And then after that, what happened?
Then it settled down, and they only give up 1 run the rest of the way.
Now they're not hitting anymore. So I checked in with the pitching coach and let him know that I got his book. You think he's afraid that I might be able to one-up him on Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Lose? You can imagine once I read this, we will go deep into this.
Oh,
It's going to be great.
I'm telling you, there's another emoism I could use, but I don't.
What?
I was trying to think if there's another one I could use right now instead of the data doesn't lie and Rome wasn't built in a day.
Well, so he uses
I know. I'm thinking of the ones I always hear Robert and
play.
everyone play on the clubhouse.
So
show.
I asked him, and he said actually Joey S is sick. Now that kind of makes sense too, because did you see his jersey was a different color gray in the first inning? How much he was sweating. So when you're sick, Johnny D's sick. He'll tell you right now, you're sick and in humidity, and you're trying to play a sport. That's not good. That is not good. So, but I still wonder the way they were hitting everything, and then after that got shut down. Was he tipping his pitches? Could be. I mean, they're looking for every little thing. It's amazing what they see in your glove. In your glove, any little thing you may be doing. Where's my ball? Where'd my baseball go? Oh, here. Anything you're doing in your glove, right? Anything, they'll have you hold the glove. I mean, there's so many different things because what happens is we as human beings, we fall into patterns like life. Same thing happens in baseball. And I start throwing my fastball one way, my glove can look. I can be moving my glove the way I dig. I mean, they're looking at every little thing, and you could be tipping your pitches. I mean, I've heard Verlander talk about it where he thought he was tipping his pitches. I mean, it happens to everybody. It's just when they're hitting, sometimes you chalk it up to they're just seeing it real well and they're a hot team. And then other times you go, hey, why are they hitting even stuff that's not in the strike zone? So that was rough. But the good thing last night, Zach Geloff, 5 home runs, 15 RBIs in his last 19 games. Geloff is just one of three guys now in Oakland A's history to have 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases in back-to-back years. He just had 5 home runs and 14 RBIs in his first 52 games. Happy birthday, Lawrence Butler. He's hitting .308, 3 homers, 7 RBIs in the last 8 games. That's really the stuff that's important. Yes, wins and losses are important, but it's also important. Are the young guys getting better? That's important.
And we're seeing some of the guys on offense getting better. Those 2 guys, Sodersham's looked good the last month or so. You need to see Brett Harris hit a little more. But, you're starting to see the guys are supposed to be the future, starting to hit better for a team that was struggling through the first 3 months of the year on offense. But as you mentioned, the runners in scoring positions much better in July. They're scoring more runs now. I know the 19 runs against the Orioles inflates that just a little bit, like the 20 runs in against the Marlins. But it's good to see them swinging the bats. But it just now we got to see it all come together with the pitching too. And now we kind of know what happened with Joey Estes yesterday. Maybe he'll bounce back because he had the Maddox last start, and maybe he'll bounce back after the All-Star break.
One note on that, Red Sox don't like lefties. They have not been great against left-handed pitchers this year. What is J.P. Sears?
Lefty.
So maybe the A's have that going for him.
He's pitched well his last couple starts too.
Boston is a game under 500 when the opponent starts a lefty, 12-13. When they start a righty, they're 38-27. Yeah, I'm searching for stuff, but I'm fine with that. I got to do a pregame show after this. I need these numbers. Something to keep track of. Did you know that the Athletics now have 13,996 home runs? We're coming up on 14,000 home runs as an organization.
Wow, because we just hit the 10th. Geloff hit the 10,000th in Oakland history, right? So
the A's have hit 111 home runs this year, but as an organization dating back to Philadelphia, was Hembo a big Philadelphia Athletics fan back in the day?
I think he might have liked Double X. Let's find out.
Was he?
Let's see.
If I can sell greatness, and the way I sell Paul Hembekides, the great Hembo, I go, listen. When you're watching Monday Night Football, when you're watching Sunday Night Baseball, and they come up with all that great stuff, it's coming from you. When I'm watching Get Up in the morning, when I wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm watching television and I'm watching Get Up, I'm watching Hembo. It's your genius that everybody's stealing. They're just not giving you credit.
How are you doing, my friend? It's always good to see your face, to hear your voice. And by the way, while you were extolling the virtues of my genius, I was paying attention to the unbelievably luscious mustache of Cody Elias. I mean, that thing right now is the richest, curliest caterpillar anyone has ever seen. You look, this is a medium. If you're listening to the show, congratulations. But to get the full experience, that's something for which you need to lay eyes on, because that right there, my friend, is the stuff of legend.
Well, yeah, supposedly you want to talk Wyatt Langford. We need to talk Wyatt Earp. That's like a Wyatt Earp. That's like an old school.
I had to on Sunday. Dennis Eckersley and Raleigh Fingers were both at the Coliseum, so I had to get a picture of the three of them, and I wanted to tag it when I changed the way I did it, but it was like when Raleigh and X see greatness, they have to take a photo with it, and it was so sweet. Everyone's like, "That's a great photo of the three of you guys." It was me in the middle.
This was the Raleigh Fingers bobblehead. He's standing on the mustache. So check this out. On Sunday at the Coliseum, a man that knows a lot about baseball history, Hembo. We had Raleigh Fingers, Dennis Eckersley, and Jim Palmer.
Wow. Did you know that Jim Palmer never once surrendered a grand slam in his entire career?
Yeah, he walked a lot of guys with the bases loaded. It's interesting how that works out. Clearly, he did not want to give that up.
So, by the way, this is not to disparage Jim Palmer, who is a worthy Hall of Fame pitcher, and anyone would acknowledge as much. One of the foundational pieces of Earl Weaver's mini dynasty, of course. But I'm not sure anybody has ever had the opportunity to be supported by a greater defense than he did. I mean, when you're thinking about having Brooks Robinson as your third baseman, Mark Belanger as your shortstop, and Paul Blair as your center fielder, I mean, those are all top 5 players historically at those positions. And so Jim Palmer's numbers, I would say, speak for themselves, but he got a little help from the defense behind him.
Is that us going out? Or is that him going out?
I can hear you
good?
Now.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now. I lost you there for about 6 or 8 seconds after I was disparaging the career of Jim Palmer. I suppose that was God's way of saying I should stop contextualizing his career.
I'm kind of glad that kind of got muddled a little bit, so no one can tie me to. You guys said Jim Palmer sucked. Yeah. You gave me this huge list of stuff you want to get through. The number one thing that whenever we can rip the Yankees, I'm all in. I am every single year. I got these stupid MLB notes that I get every single year. The first couple months is like, oh, the Yankees are off the best start since 19 blah, 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 blah. And then this year they won X amount of World Series. Everybody is trying to find a way in our game to tell you how great. Everybody's trying to sell the Yankees, Sunday Night Baseball. Oh, my God. And then all of a sudden they fall apart. So please, as the Red Sox, I can tell you this. Yankees have the worst record in Major League Baseball since June 12th at 7-17. Red Sox have the best record at 17-6. They've made up 10.5 games on them. Please tell us how bad the Yankees are right now.
The Yankees are an unserious baseball team, at least as it relates to trying to win a championship, something they've not done since 2009, something that their fan base steadfastly believes that they should be able to do every single year because they're entitled to that, of course. But truthfully, it's a badly built baseball team, and this is a team now that is playing a lot more in line with what I thought they would do. I thought the Baltimore Orioles would run away and hide in this division. They're going to. I thought the Yankees would tail off in this division. They're going to. And the reason that's the case is because they have like 3 good players and a bunch of bad ones. You don't win 90, 95, 100 baseball games because you have a few superstars, which they have. You win 90, 95, 100 baseball games because you have 10, 12, 15 good players, because you have a bunch of value positive players, because you have no zeros in your lineup, because you have no zeros in your bullpen or your starting rotation. They can have a bunch of those. The Yankees have a bunch of those because I think Brian Cashman has done, for the umpteenth consecutive year, an unsatisfactory job in building a deep, serious baseball team that can beat you in multiple ways. No one's taking away anything from the fact that Aaron Judge is having a historic season. He's a homegrown player that the Yankees paid, and good for them. No one's taking away anything from the fact that Juan Soto is hitting out of his ever-loving mind, except for the last couple weeks. He's still got an OPS right around 1,000. He's going to be an MVP finalist, having a great year in his walk year. He's phenomenal. No one's taking away from the fact that they were able to coax Garrett Cole there for 9 years and $324 million. When you have that kind of money, go ahead and spend it on Hall of Fame arms. But what else have the Yankees done in recent years that says this is a serious championship franchise? Anthony Volpe was supposed to be the savior, right? Derek Jeter's successor. But the guy can't hit at all. The DJ LeMahieu signing is turning into a disaster. The starting rotation has absolutely no depth, even though they, for the first 2 months of the season or so, pitched out of their minds. Gleyber Torres hasn't gotten better. What happened to Gary Sanchez? Why couldn't Sonny Gray pitch there? Why can't Joey Gallo hit there? Why is it always them? Why do they always get the worst out of people? At some point, you have to stop blaming the players. At some point, you say to yourself, this is an organizational failure, an infrastructural problem. We don't do the things that smart teams do. How can a team like Tampa Bay, a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, who have a fraction of the financial clout that the Yankees have, consistently beat them, consistently outperform them, consistently outproduce them from the minor league levels all the way on up? The Yankees have more built-in advantages than any team in professional sports. Period. New paragraph. And yet they always find themselves in a very similar position. You get a couple good months here and there, and then you tail off because over the course of 162, they just don't have enough good people. I don't know what else to tell you.
Process. And everything everything I needed to know was at the general manager's meetings last year when the New York media pressed him about that report from that minor league guy who said, hey, listen, these guys don't care about winning. All they care about is how hard you hit it, how hard you throw it. It was all this really deep dive into analytics. But they said success-wise, they don't care if you get a hit. They don't care if you strike out. It's all. And then all of a sudden they started coming at Cashman with all this. He got so defensive. It told you everything you needed to know. Like, wait a minute. You've spent all this money on building, because if you remember, there's a great article years back about in 1998, obviously one of the greatest teams of all time, but Brian Cashman came to Billy Beane. They've been friends. He had just gotten the job. He asked Billy Beane about analytics and how to change the organization, because just spending George Steinbrenner's money was long-term. So really it was the A's who helped the Yankees get into this, and he's been all in for all this time. He started backtracking on his own analytics department that he brought in. It's like, wow. You could see right there that you had scratched something that wasn't good. And the way they've trained the process, I'm just going to say analytics and data, their process is not right. And it shows year after year after year.
They brought Sean Casey in to be their hitting coach off of TV last year. Aaron Judge has his own hitting guy that regularly bleeps on the team on Twitter. This is not a serious organization. I mean, they're so reminiscent of the Dallas Cowboys, like, because they have an enormous fan base and because they drive national ratings and interest and all things of that nature, there is an obligation to talk about them. But I don't feel obligated to prop them up into something that they're not, and something that they've not been for 15 years, which is a championship caliber team. I have no issue if we talk about the Yankees for what they are, a team with a couple of stars, with a couple of players that you might see some promise in the future. But very rarely do these things come together for them. Literally 2 years ago, just like you said, the Yankees, best start since X, first team to 50 wins. Look at Nestor Cortez. Look at, like, whatever, all these things that happen sort of in a microwave over the course of the first 2 months of the season. And it takes Aaron Judge hitting 62 home runs for them to hold off the biggest division collapse in the history of baseball. This is who they are. This is what they are. And I don't think we should ever want people to be different than who they've demonstrated themselves to be. We shouldn't want teams to be different than what they've demonstrated themselves to be. And that's exactly what the Yankees are continuously doing. The Yankees are merely a good baseball team that right now is playing bad. And their median outcome is going to be to sneak into the playoffs and get waxed like they typically do.
I didn't get an email, and he didn't say, I don't have to ask you about LeBron James' son, right?
Bronny James, the future of the Los Angeles Lakers?
I don't have to ask, right?
Look, you don't have to ask, but look, I'm an ESPN employee, and I think I'm obligated to say this at least. If you are picking 55th in the draft, and the miracle befalls you when a 6'1" player who averaged 4 points a game in college slips all the way, 54 picks, it would be highly irresponsible not to draft him. So look, this is just JJ Redick and Rob Pelinka and LeBron James and the brain trust of the Los Angeles Lakers, Jeannie Buss, Kurt Rambis, his wife, the whole bit, the whole gang, doing their due diligence and merely pouncing upon this opportunity that befell them. If you have an opportunity to draft a player who has been compared to his best case scenario being Holiday, not Drew Holiday, Aaron Holiday. Well, you got to take him. You got to take him. You just got to take him.
That's Santa Clara great Kurt Rambis, by the way, one of the great Broncos of all time. One thing that I know you want to talk about, and I think I mentioned this a long time ago. Ross Atkins has a tough job. And if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, this is not about money. The Rogers cable people got tons of money. They're putting in like $300 million more to revamp the Rogers Center. Us old people like to call it the Sky Dome. They've got a ton of money. But the question is, do we want to keep giving money to players that we may not be able to win with? So is it a smart move to say, you know what, this group, when they get in the postseason, they stink. They can't even win a game. They can't win the division. We've gone this far with them. It's now time to move on and find another group. Is that what the Blue Jays need to do?
Yes, that's what the Blue Jays need to do. It's just not obvious to me if Ross Atkins is going to be the one that gets to construct the rebuild. And I hate saying it because I like the guy. I think generally speaking, he's got a lot more right than he's gotten wrong. But what the facts on the ground say is that he's not done that job well enough. And this was not just foreseeable. This was foreseen. When you go into an offseason and you do so with the earnest hope that you're going to sign Shohei Ohtani and you don't have a plan B, then this is what you get. When you build a baseball team in the year 2024 around defense, this is what you get. As a news alert, as a flash, in case word of this has not reached you, no one puts the ball in play anymore. You don't build your team around defense. What are you doing? Why is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hitting fifth for you? Why did you trade Gabby Moreno, a premium catcher, for a player in Dalton Varsho whose calling card is playing good defense in left field? I don't understand what this is about. Someone needs to explain to me how Ross Atkins views defense as being something that matters at all in the modern game. It doesn't. There's almost no correlation between defense and winning. He's built himself a good starting rotation that last year performed well, that this year is not. They're giving up too many home runs. But what you do is if you have too many neutrals or negatives in your lineup, especially in the American League, in the context of that division, you're just not going to win enough baseball games. And that's what's happened here. If Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette don't play like MVPs, literally MVPs, then you just don't have enough run scoring capability to keep up. And that's exactly what's happened. So to me, the biggest mistake he made and the biggest mistake they made is building a baseball team in a fundamentally flawed way and overvaluing two-way players and overvaluing the value of defense rather than acknowledging the fact that the way in which you can provide the most value to a team is putting that baseball on that barrel a bunch of times. And they don't have enough guys that do that.
I was just wondering, when Major League Baseball and ESPN decided to change the All-Star game, did they come to you and ask your opinion? Because I do think it's interesting how they changed the All-Star game this year to be the American League versus the Phillies and the Dodgers. I thought that was really interesting. I mean, 7 Phillies, 6 Dodgers as of now. That's over 40% of the National League roster are your fighting Phils and Dodgers.
Look, they're playing a series as we speak. You may have seen yesterday. Yeah. Trey Turner hit a grand slam. He's playing out of his mind. Bryce Harper is, at least when he's been in the lineup, doing Bryce Harper things. We've gotten to see Alec Boehm really explode. And look, these are the popular glamour franchises in the National League right now. And I think conventional wisdom says that they'll be the two teams that, represent the National League and the NLCS. Although we know baseball's random and baseball's weird. And the the Dodgers have a long and storied history of collapsing in the playoffs spectacularly, as they did last year when Freddie Freeman didn't hit and Mookie Betts didn't hit, and Clayton Kershaw got pummeled like he typically does in the playoffs. And so it's hard for me to view that team through the context of, championship or bust, because this is like the worst regular season team they've had in a long time, and yet they're still sitting there at the top of the odds standings. And so it's hard for me to view them accordingly. Truthfully, that's what I think we should get, or at least what we are likeliest to get. But would it surprise me if Atlanta crashed the party? Would it surprise me if Milwaukee crashed the party? Would it surprise me if San Francisco improved and crashed the party? Honestly, it would not. We're talking about 3 and 5 and 7 game series, as you well know, in which case variance is so high in the sport. And so, look, I'll root for the Phillies to win every single game, and I'll watch every single game. But as someone who knows and loves this stuff, when you get so close, when you get to game 6 of the World Series and game 7 of the NLCS, that's still the taste in my mouth. And so for as much as I'm enjoying this historic season, I can't really think about anything else except for the fact that those red towels are going to wave in October. And truthfully, once we get there, that's really the only thing that matters to any of us.
And we'll be with you. We love our Phillies. Dave Dombrowski, I say it all the time, was the first general manager I ever interviewed in my
Mhm.
career. I've always loved him, and I think you got to love him too as your GM because you know he's going for it. He's not going to sit there and go, I can't trade my number 4 ranked prospect. What? No, he'll trade. He's trying to win World Series, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, there's a big difference between trying to win games and win transactions. And there are too many general managers in baseball now that try and do the latter and don't prioritize the former. And I think if you do that, you're missing the forest through the trees. You can't merely look at every decision through the prism of the WAR calculator and say to yourself, well, if we lose this deal, then I'm not going to be able to justify this to my boss. Because in reality, WAR is only tangentially what wins games. Obviously, we know that, for example, trading Logan O'Hoppe for Brandon Marsh, even though it was something that I thought would wind up being, detrimental long term, because of that very math, winds up helping the club because he understands that there's an art and a science to this. Dave Dombrowski is willing to lose the transaction to win the trade. He's willing to lose the transaction to win games, and he understands that there is an art to roster building and an art to chemistry that's very difficult for me from the outside to understand as someone who's so egg-headed, as someone who's so in the numbers and in the weeds with the objectivity. But I give him enormous amounts of credit. He was the one person I didn't want the Phillies to hire. And yet he has taken the Phillies to great heights because he was willing to do things that honestly were sort of countercultural. Like if you're willing to live in a world of market inefficiencies and take advantage of the sort of industry standards and industry norms as he has, then you can wind up doing great and mighty things because you're taking advantage of your peers in ways that very few can, because 24 or so GMs are very homogenous in the way that they think and the way that they act.
So when you take two teams that all they do is strike out, one is the Seattle Mariners, and their offense stinks. The other is the A's. Our offense isn't very good. We've hit a lot of home runs. We're 5th in home runs. Both these teams strike out. You only get 27 outs in a game. And when you're striking out more than half the time, or it's always double digits, how do you feel like that when you're breaking down the numbers? Because, in the A's world, it'd be like, hey, hit a lot of home runs. You're like, man, you're striking out so many times. Like, how do you view that?
So it's a pretty simple formula for me. Without getting too into the weeds, you can live with excess strikeouts, but only at the expense of singles. You can't live with all those strikeouts at the expense of power. Here's the example that I'll use. So I did this in-depth study about how the Cubs have failed to score runs over the last couple months. And I don't have the updated numbers in front of me, but over that period of time, they ranked dead last in the major leagues in slug over those 2 months, with the 5th worst strikeout rate, which is a really bad strategy, right? If you're going to sell out for power, then you have to thread the needle and hit home runs, okay? If you're not going to sell out for power, then obviously you can live with singles and doubles, but that's sort of the strategy. And that's sort of a tightrope to walk because, look, obviously, if you're hitting 3-run home runs with somewhat consistency, somewhat regularity, and you're generating runs that way, then you can live with a bunch of empty calories. But if you don't consistently homer, then you're not obviously the justification then is no longer worth it.
You have no protein. You're not getting any protein.
That's a good analogy to make because, like, in the end, you can live with a ton of strikeouts, but obviously, like, the other end of the extreme must be met, which is why I'm such a huge fan of run scoring diversity. Run scoring diversity to me is the most under-discussed attribute of baseball in these days. What happens if your plan A fails? If you're a team that relies on the home run a great deal, can you win a game 4-2 if you don't happen to bop any? That's an enormous question that your general manager needs to answer. It's an enormous question that people in your lineup need to answer. No issue whatsoever if you strike out 15 times in a game, if you're going to average 3 home runs in those 15 strikeout games. But what happens when you happen to have no home runs in that game and you strike out 15 times? You're probably not going to score many runs. Obviously, that doesn't require a rocket surgeon. So for me, it's all about the trade-off. It's all about the trade-off. But I'm a huge fan of teams that can do both well, which is why in my analysis and in my research, I often just exclude home runs from my searches and see how teams manufacture them. Because as we well know, the better pitching gets as the weather gets cooler, the more important that is and the more of a premium that becomes.
Brent Rooker is one of the great examples of what you're talking about because he – at one point, I don't know if he still is, he was leading the American League in strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
But Brent Rooker has hit home runs 18. But this year, what's different about him is that he's getting doubles, he's getting singles, he's hitting .282 which has allowed his OPS to stay above 900 because he's hitting the home runs and he's getting the slug with the extra base hits. But now he's finding the barrel more. So he does have the empty calories with the strikeouts, but he's giving you enough protein with home runs, doubles, and singles. He's a diverse player this year. And I try and tell everybody who says batting average doesn't matter. It's like, well, if I'm hitting, it's going to be good. And if I'm hitting with power, it's going to be the diversity. You're doing a lot of different things for me. The guy who just sometimes hits home runs and strikes out a lot, you're not going to do much for me.
Looking at Rooker, a 282, 360, 542 slash is delicious. Hitting 282 in today's climate is really hard. The league is hitting 242. Hitting 280, we need to retrain ourselves, buddy. If you hit 282, what you're actually doing is hitting 300. For everyone watching this who is over the age of 40, if you're hitting 280 in today's game, you're actually hitting 300. That's how hard it is to do. If you're on basing 360 in today's game, which Rooker is, you're actually on basing 380. If you're slugging 540 in today's game, you're slugging 560 or 570. If you take the totality of his slash line, it's 158. The OPS plus is 158, 58% above average. He is hitting like a superstar. If your OPS plus is 125, you're having a good hitting season. If your OPS plus is 150, you're having a great hitting season. His OPS plus is 158. That is a magnificent slash line. So remember, as you're looking at batting averages down across the league this year, just remember, the league is batting 240. So if you're hitting above 240, even though it doesn't feel like it's a good batting average, it technically is. It truthfully is. We need to adjust the way that we think about that stat in particular.
You had the Pirates trading deadline approach. So obviously, Cody being a huge Pirate fan, you want to trade Paul Skeens now? Let's do it now.
Yeah, because obviously we don't want to pay him. So, and I can't allow those pre-arbitration years to start tracking up on me.
Does Livy Dunn, the national champion gymnast, social influencer from LSU, does she stay in Pittsburgh or does she go with him?
I love the way that you pronounced influence. Okay, so I'm curious if Cody agrees with my sort of out there Pirates philosophy. So follow my logic trail, Cody. So right now, or at least when healthy, you have yourself Paul Skeens, who I think has the best stuff on the planet right now. Mitch Keller, who has been consistently good and has improved, misses a lot of bats. And Jared Jones, who at least when he's been right, has been about as dynamic as any young pitcher in baseball this season. The reason that context is so important to me is because there aren't that many opportunities for a team in that market to have an actual chance to win a title. And if you happen to have all three of those guys healthy at the same time, which you just might this fall, you kind of have to shoot your shot when that opportunity comes. Ask a Mets fan what it's like to build your team around young, fireballing pitchers. Like the needle is really hard to thread if your team is built that way. I actually think the Pirates right now, especially given the context of those three guys atop the rotation, are the kind of like, we don't want to face you team when you get to the playoffs. And so I don't by any means expect them to take my advice, because I don't think that Bob Nutting watches the show and he acts like he's so poor, even though he is so not poor. But either way, the Pirates should absolutely be in a window of contention now, simply because if you get into the tournament, you can win the whole damn thing. You have like the one thing that every team in baseball would die to have: three potential dominant starting pitchers who can carry you throughout a postseason the way that we saw Strasburg and Corbin and Scherzer do in 2019. So I understand why the median fan might say, and look at the standings and say, the Pirates aren't in a position to buy here. But when you consider the context of the team and the positions of their superstars, I think the very opposite is true.
I think you're right 100%, especially with the starting pitching. They have the three guys, and I know Jones is hurt right now. And there was a rumor out there today from Pittsburgh media that apparently in the offseason there was a trade that was in the works of Jared Jones for Jackson Holliday, and then that became false, is what people are saying now on X. I think they need to go out and get something. They're not going to make a head. The organization has never made a splash. The only big trade they made in my lifetime is the Chris Archer trade that failed miserably. Now, then again, you can argue Baz has been hurt, and Austin Meadows is not even in the league anymore, pretty much, and Tyler Glasnow gets hurt again, as we found out.
Oh, wow. You said he was going to have 200 innings. He was a horse.
And he was going to win the Cy Young.
You're calling Glasnow a horse. 250 innings.
Tyler Glasnow's elbow is made of glass.
But when you talk about Paul Skeens and the failure to not be able to afford him, I think they'll try to lock him up, because they've done it with Keller, they've done it with Brian Reynolds. They've actually shown the they're willing to try to re-sign guys and keep them. They got Brian Hayes, but his deal hasn't really worked out. But the other two guys have been pretty good so far. So I don't think
they'll try. But I mean, why on earth would Paul Skeens sign anything that's less than like $200 million right now? I mean, he has the most premium skill on the planet. If he's smart, he's going to go year to year with those guys unless they offer him something almost incalculable by their standards.
Are you on the train? I heard a lot of your ESPN contemporaries say that he should start the All-Star game. Do you think the same thing?
I do. And the reason I do is because he's the best pitcher, not because he's marketable, not because his girlfriend has 5.3 million Instagram followers, not because he's a novelty. No, it's not why. No, the reason why it's because
she can promote our game and people will watch it.
Yeah, she is baseball's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think
we need her more than she needs us.
We need to put a bat. What we're going to do is Paul Skeens is going to pitch, and she's going to be on the balance beam in left center field is what we're going to wind up doing.
That's ratings, baby. We're going to get some ratings. Hey, and by the way, speaking of, if Skeens starting, everybody says in our traveling party that when we show up, Mason Miller's the talk. Like all the broadcast, like Mason Miller, if there is a lead, what's best for baseball, Skeens starting, and if there's a lead for the American League or late in the game, Mason Miller coming in will keep eyeball. People want to see it in the All-Star game. Give us what we want to see.
Yeah, it's an exhibition game. Bill James once famously said, and it's my favorite quote ever, he said, baseball is meant to be enjoyed. It serves no other purpose. And the All-Star game is a perfect microcosm of that. It is an exhibition game intended to attract the largest audience possible and to put baseball's greatest players on display. And the only thing that we should be doing, and the only party to which we are obliged, is the fan. The only opinion that matters. The fan is always right. The customer is always right. There is no good faith argument, none, that say that Paul Skeens should not start the All-Star game. I'm sorry. This is not a performance evaluation, but even if it were, you can't tell me definitively that there is a pitcher in baseball right now, or at least in the National League, that is clearly and obviously better than he is right now. Since the day that he debuted, he has been as individually outstanding as any pitcher in the National League. That is not my opinion. It is a statement of fact. Every game, it's 6 innings, it's 1 run, and it's 8 strikeouts. That's an outstanding pitcher. That's an outstanding outing in today's climate. And the fact that he's going to sit 100, 101, 102 at the beginning of that game would be gripping television. You can't convince me otherwise.
All right, Hembo, we thank you so much for your time. It's always great to have you on. When is the Ed Werner going to come on from Cowboy Camp and discuss the championship parade route for the Dallas Cowboys this year?
Right through Dealey Plaza. No, I think you may have missed it. Dak Prescott's in a walking boot. And so that will be the lead on Get Up for something approximating the next 3 months. So if you've missed it, you're not going to miss it for very long, because I can assure you that you'll be hearing about it and seeing that granular footage for quite some time.
What is a bigger story then? Is it Biden maybe stepping down from the race, or Dak Prescott in a walking boot?
Or Bronny's actually summer league
game? Will Bronny make a 3? Well, like, come on, like, you're going to tell me that a 6'1" kid who's going to be a defensive specialist is worth me watching? Like, why do we have to say the thing that obviously isn't true? Like, I'm totally fine.
Why didn't Steve Kerr replace Kawhi Leonard with Bronny James on the U.S.?
Great question.
I give you content for tomorrow.
Oh my, yeah, that'll be my new take. Steve Kerr should have replaced Kawhi Leonard with LeBron James's son.
Would you really want to play professional basketball with your own dad?
I don't understand why he's not going to be a great 3 or 4 year college player. Like, that seemed to be a pretty obvious path for him to take. But what do I know about,
I mean, I like my father, and but when you're doing crazy things as a young kid, do you want your dad being around telling you what to do all the time on the plane and the hotels?
I mean,
would you really want to play with your dad?
I'm not sure that's entirely his choice. What do you think?
Well, I know it's not his choice, but you're like, can you imagine me, like, you want to hang out with the fellas and your dad's at the back of the plane telling you what to do in front of everybody else?
Your 40-year-old dad while you're just trying to BS in the front seat.
Yeah, we're going out with the ladies tonight. No, you're not. You're gonna be in a hotel room. You're gonna be watching at home.
Can I just give Coach Reddick a wet willy, please? No, you'll sit down.
Hembo, you are the best, my friend. Continued success. There's nobody better than you in the business.
You're a good man. It's always good to see your faces.
I wish I was your agent.
Oh, you're a good man. I thought you were going to say I wish I was your age, which is probably also true.
Any book to promote on the way out yet?
September 24th. Got your answers. Mike Greenberg, Paul Hembekides,
Where's
the
my
100 greatest sports debate.
Chris Sale's a
solved.
Hall of Famer. When's my Hall of Fame book?
By the way, I'll have information for you on that sometime, but I will send you a little preview of our September book in case you want to take a peek.
I will. So will you tell me when we can start promoting and I can make you some money?
You're a good man.
Take care, buddy.
Peace.
Paul Hembekides. He's the best. He's the best. I'd hire him. Like, I'm serious. I would hire him. Like, he has such a great grasp of sports and data and numbers. And I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, who are we hiring? I mean, there's so many people that nobody knows about.
The way you said that made me think of Larry David as George Steinbrenner and Seinfeld. When he hires George Costanza for the Yankees, hire this man. When he goes, sir, what you've done to my beloved Yankees, and he just berates Steinbrenner, and he goes, hire this man.
I loved it when his dad went, Jay Buhner, you traded Jay Buhner.
The hell did you trade Jay Buhner for? Oh, my guys kept telling me, Ken Phelps.
They had the George Costanza bobblehead at Yankee Stadium.
Since I'm going to be
all right, there's my olive branch to our Yankee friends. The George Costanza bobblehead's a classic. If we did Yankeeography every day, I would have. If we were doing Yankee stuff, I would have the George Costanza bobblehead. I would get rid of the Mark Contz. Do we still need the Mandalorian?
I mean, we're a very popular show. I
mean, it's in the background. It's in the back.
I mean, so is the show Shohei Ohtani Angels.
Well, that didn't even apply anymore. I still got this guy. How's this guy doing? How's he doing?
And the Angels.
Rendon's back. Mike Trout took BP. Everything's fine. The rally monkey. It's the greatest thing ever.
We should probably take a break. Then we can go over Hembo. Oh, so you have it up. Hembo's dream home run bracket.
Did he just send it?
Looks like he sent it. Yeah, but it's out on social media too.
Oh, let's see. Babe Ruth, 1927, is the number 1 seed. Josh Gibson, 1937, number 2 seed. Number 3 seed is 1998, King Griffey Jr. Well, here I'll go. So there's 8 guys, and they're seeded. So number 1 would be the number 1 seed would be Babe Ruth, 1927. Against Josh Hamilton, 2008. He's your number 8 seed.
Oh, he did have a pretty good derby that year.
Incredible.
It was Yankee Stadium, right?
The number 4 and 5. You know, a 5 always beats a 4 in the tournament.
Yeah.
Your 4 and 5 seeds going up against each other. This is a Yankee brouhaha. This is the Mickey Mantle in 1956 against Aaron Judge in 2024.
Ooh.
I would pay a lot of money to watch Mickey Mantle. All right. It was funny when Will Ferrell said it. Dig him up, Mickey Mantle up against Aaron Judge. That would be incredible.
The winner is the greatest center fielder in Yankee history.
Whoa. What about Mr. Coffee?
DiMaggio's good. I'm not shortchanging.
Burn, baby, burn. What about Bernie Williams? The 3 and 6 seed, great matchup. This wouldn't be Oakland A. Mark McGwire, but it'd be 1998 Mark McGwire against King Griffey Jr. 1998.
Is that Big Mac?
One guy's on roids, one's not on the other. But the other guy has arguably the most fluid athletic swing you've ever seen.
Correct.
Who you going? You going Big Mac or you going Griff?
I'm going to take McGwire.
I'm taking McGwire all day.
Yeah. I mean, I know Griffey won.
McGwire on roids?
Griffey won the Derby twice, right?
He won in Pittsburgh, didn't he?
I think he won it twice. I think McGwire
won.
won
And he won in didn't he win San Diego in 92? He won in Pittsburgh and San Diego.
Yeah, we can probably go through the.
How many times did he win home run derby?
See,
he's got the swing built for it. He's got the uppercut. He's got the smooth swing. But, I mean, steroid Mark McGwire, my God.
All right, I'm looking at to see if they're really not going to list all the winners. I don't care what the most watched. Okay. McGwire won at 92 with
Look
the A's.
who won in 1985.
The Cobra.
The Cobra, Dave Parker.
Wasn't a Pirate, wasn't an A.
Are we listing that as the first home run derby?
Yeah.
The Cobra, Dave Parker brought home oh my God, the second year is this is awful. How is this possible? You know why? Because he hit a bunch of home runs early, but it looks like there was a tie between, because this is back when you got 10 outs.
Yeah.
You got 10 outs, and how many can he hit? Wally Joyner tied Darryl Strawberry. But Wally World, if you remember, the early Wally Joyner hit a bunch of home runs.
So who won it next year at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum? The Hawk, Andre Dawson.
Hall of Famer.
Wins it. Then Eric Davis, and then Ruben Sierra. When's the last time you heard that name?
Ruben High Sierra.
Yeah, I actually heard it earlier today because he has the list.
All right, let's go down. Let's see.
Griffey won it in 94.
92. See, that was the one I was at 92, Jack Murphy Stadium. I was at that. McGuire won it.
94, then Juan gone, then 94.
Here's a legitimate question. Can I ask you a question?
Is this about McGuire?
This is about 1992. Chris Townsend's back from San Jose State. It's summertime. Me and my buddies are out in right field drinking beers. We're watching this home run derby. Was I 21 by then? Was I legal? 92.
No.
No? Well, I was close. Was Mark McGuire on steroids in 1992? Jose Canseco was.
I don't have all the facts.
Wow, that is a good A's employee right there.
I'll stick up for my guy Big Mac. Friend of the program.
There's a good A's employee right there.
Friend of the program.
I mean, just that's not me asking. That's the alternative voice from out of nowhere's asking. All right, what do you got?
So Griffey won at 94 at Three Rivers, as you mentioned. Then he won it back-to-back years, 98, 99, at Coors Field and Fenway.
Coors Field.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's won it 3 times.
Yeah, the winners in between there, Frank Thomas, Barry Bonds, and where were you when Tino Martinez won the home run derby at Jacobs Field?
Tino the Bambino? That's a weak winner right there.
Yeah. Then you got Sosa, our good friend Luis Gonzalez. Jason Giambi is a Yankee.
Very good friend, Jason Giambi.
Garrett Anderson, Miguel Tejada, Bobby Abreu.
Abreu's
who you think should be in the Hall of Fame?
Who's worse, Abreu or Wally Joyner winning it?
Probably Wally Joyner.
I don't want to go through all these.
Yeah.
So getting back to Hembo's list of the dream bracket, now knowing that Griffey's won it 3 times, you still want Mark McGuire?
McGuire's won it, but Griffey's like Pete Alonso. Alonso trying to win for a 3rd time. I'm still going to go with Big Mac.
And then the 2 versus the 7 is Josh Gibson against Reginald Martinez Jackson.
So I'm going to go with Reggie because I never got a chance to see Josh Gibson play or highlights.
Gibson did not hit. It's a total fallacy of the home runs at the 600-ish or whatever they put on their plaque. His son, or it was his grandson, did an article was in an article by Bob Nightingale in the USA Today. You can go read it, where he said his grandfather wasn't really a home run hitter. He actually hit like 200 and something home runs, which is a lot of but a lot of his stats were these barnstorming tours against local town amateur teams, semi-pro teams. So they have this outlandish, he hit 600, really the official total in games. Now, he doesn't have all the games, but he wasn't this massive home run hitter that people have tried. He was like this phenomenal player, but this massive home run hitter, they've tried to make him out. Go read the USA Today, and his own grandson brings it up. So I just say Reginald Martinez Jackson wins that. I mean, he's Reggie Jackson. Does anybody come up bigger in the spotlight than Reggie Jackson?
Probably not. So what do we got? We got Babe Ruth. We're both taking Babe Ruth over Hamilton, right?
If Josh Hamilton gets hyped up on a bunch of Red Bulls, he may be in this thing.
Well, the Babe never played at Yankee Stadium Part 2, where Hamilton was hitting all those home runs. So I'll go Babe Ruth, and we got I'll take Aaron Judge. So
you're saying Aaron Judge over Mickey Mantle?
Then you got
I'm going Mick.
Then you got Yankee on Yankee hate, and you got I got Big Mac versus Reggie Jackson. So A's on A's hate.
But yeah,
there could be an A that wins the Dream Home Run Derby.
Dream Home Run Derby. How about this? Reggie Jackson against Mark McGwire. Put him in a time machine. Reggie'd be pissed because he knows McGuire's on steroids. How about this?
How about McGuire's an A, as in like the 80s?
How about Dream Home Run Derby? Hopped up Jose Canseco against hopped up Mark McGwire.
It's pretty good. Can we come up with our dream?
And hopped up Bonds.
Oh, Superberry.
Superberry again, because Jose Canseco was incredible. I mean, Jose Canseco can do home run derby with softballs. Canseco's amazing at home run derby.
We should do this. We should come up with our dream all A's home run derby.
Well, now you took Barry out of it.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
I was going to throw Sosa in there too. Remember Sosa in Atlanta hitting balls on the roof?
I remember him hitting home runs. Remember Miller Park when they were hitting balls up 500 feet?
What's your all steroid home run derby? You Bonds, McGwire, Canseco, Sosa, Juan Gonzalez.
Yeah, Juan Gon's in there. Ken Caminiti, San Jose State great.
Ken wasn't. I mean, he had 1 year where he had like the 45 when he was MVP. I don't know if he's really
Brady Anderson.
That's 1 year. I mean,
Greg Vaughn.
Out of Sacramento, that's allegedly. We do not know about Greg.
I just only had the 50 home runs. God, who else? Rafael Palmeiro.
500 something home runs. I mean, you got to have true steroid guy. Bobby Estalella, the Giants, putting him next to Jose Canseco, and they're flexing.
Oh, we need 2 more though. We'll not include him.
Total steroid guy. Tons of bombs. See, like Jim Thome can't put in there.
Yeah. Albert Bell, no. Well, do we know? I don't know.
Do not know on that
one. Big Poppy had a failed test, allegedly.
Big Poppy's in there. Yeah, guy couldn't hit, and all of a sudden now he's a Hall of Famer.
Manny Ramirez.
Man Ram.
There you go.
Yes, Man Ram is definitely in. Well, remember, he was taking a drug. It was a fertility drug.
Oh, replace David Ortiz with Alex Rodriguez.
Thank you. No, I think David, replace Palmeiro, because Palmeiro was a great hitter. I don't really think of him as
he did have 3,000 hits, yeah.
Yeah, I would say A-Rod. A-Rod replaces Palmeiro. Palmeiro can be the guest commentator and wave his finger to Congress.
All the guys we picked are in the top. They're all in the top 20 in home runs.
Oh yeah,
Bonds is 1. A-Rod's 5.
We could have a time. We could have like the time machine where you got like Babe Ruth and Gehrig and Jimmy Fox and all those guys going after it. Then you get like the 50s and 60s guys. So now we're getting like Mantle, and we get Mays, and we get Aaron, we get all those guys. And then we just have the steroid division, and it's just the biggest, just hopped up guys hitting bombs. Where do we do? You know what? We do it at Fenway. They're hitting them out of Fenway Park or Wrigley.
I would say I always just go to Coors Field. I want to see him hit 500-foot shots.
The steroid guys, they do it at okay. I have no problem with that.
I'm just looking through some of the other guys that are on the all-time home run list, like Gary Sheffield played in that era.
He vehemently. Well, you know what? He was a Balco guy.
Carlos Delgado.
I didn't know.
Jeff Bagwell.
I wish. You know what? I wish in my life, whenever I had an issue, I could have just gone, I didn't know. And you know what? I'm going to investigate it. And everybody goes, oh, okay. Right? I've been in trouble in my life. There's been multiple times in my life I was in trouble. And I really wish, like, this would be a great caller segment. I'm going to give you one, rub the genie of the, you're going to rub the bottle. I'm your genie. I come out, and I'm going to grant you one wish. What's the one thing? What was the one thing you got in trouble for? This would be a great, if we took phone calls, this would be a great one. What's the one thing in your life? 833-625-2278 as I get back to my talk show days. What's the one thing in your life you would erase? And all you have to do is go, hey, I didn't know. I'm going to research it.
Well, mine's easy. The marriage number 1.
No. You always go back. You're like a one-trick pony. Go back to the same. What did you get in trouble for? You're in trouble. You're not in trouble. You just made a bad decision.
I've never been in trouble, though. I'm such a squeaky clean.
What would be the one thing that you could, God, man, if I could change that? And you're changing it by going, hey, I didn't know. I'll investigate it. Frankie Montas, is he still investigating? Remember when he got popped for the A's?
Yeah.
Bartolo Colon didn't even give a reason, and then we just re-signed him. That was one of the greatest questions ever. So back when we did the Billy Bean show, and the one time I was doing it the 1 year, and I was might have been 2 years with Rick Bucher, and Rick Bucher loved to be like ESPN, the magazine journalist. And he went through this big, long question of, integrity and how it hurt the team. And Billy, why would you re-sign Bartolo Colon? And Billy just went, because he's good. And that was it. And knowing Billy's texting me. I knew it. I was laughing. That was the award. Well, we won an award for that. The award-winning Billy Bean show back in the day on 95.7 The Game.
I'm going to look. Maybe we do this after a break or whatnot. We can put together our all A's dream home run derby. Oakland A's. No offense.
Well, it's going to be easy. You got to put Dave Kingman.
Yep. Kingman was one of the guys I was thinking.
You've got to put Reginald Martinez Jackson.
Yep.
You got Jose. How many guys we get? 8? We got Jose. I got Jose. Now everybody Jose is Jose. Do you notice that?
Nope. Just Jose Ramirez.
Jose.
Wait, can we
McGuire.
Can we get confirmation from Tom Hamilton? Everyone's can be Hosey. So we got 3. All right.
No, that's 4. Reggie
Kingman, Jose, McGuire.
You got to have Giambi.
What about, Cespedes did one back-to-back.
Oh, Cespedes has to be in there. He's a thoroughbred in the home run derby. That's 6.
Chris Davis
would be 7.
I got 1. He only played 1 year in Oakland, but he was a home run masher.
We need somebody from the 80s. Cobra.
Yeah, Dave Parker's not bad. He's good. I was leaning with Adam Dunn.
The donkey?
Nah, you a lot of home runs.
Yeah, that's not that.
Or do you want to go current and go Brent Rooker?
Anybody else in the 70s? Captain Sal. No, Reggie was the big home run hitter. I kind of like Dave Parker.
Cobra's a good one. He also won the home run derby.
Give me the single season records for the A's.
That's what I was trying to find.
Because it's McGuire, it's Reggie. Yeah, Chris Davis is a good call. Cespedes, who won home run derby, it's a great call.
And no, home runs will be easy because it'll bring up Philadelphia, but we'll know when. We'll know.
Want to get double X in there?
He did hit 58 in a season in 1932. All the guys we mentioned are on here. Oh, Matt Olson.
That could be a good one. So Matt Olson would be 8. Take Dave Parker out and put Matt Olson in.
You can put Olson. You could put.
Not putting Matt Stairs in. Stop.
No, wow, not Matt Stairs, huh? What about John Jaha?
John Jaha. Kong's got to be in there. King Kong.
What about your guy Jack Cust?
No, he's out of here.
So yeah, that's. I was gonna when I get a chance, I'll look up and see what the all-time Oakland A's like.
What about Miguel Tejada?
Tejada's a good one.
Would you rather have Matt Olson or Miguel Tejada?
Do you want nostalgia or just home run power?
I want power.
Matt Olson.
All right. So there you go. We haven't taken a break yet, have we?
No.
What do we have coming up?
Moriarty's coming up in about 10. Do we have any guys in the minor leagues that could be in the home run derby? Bill might know.
Adolis Garcia has just been reported. Texas Ranger star, World Series champion, incredible biceps.
Let me guess, home run derby.
He's yoked. He will participate.
Wow, shocker.
In the home run derby at Arlington.
Yeah.
Does that mean we're set?
No, I think it's only one more.
Who's even in it?
I have it right here. Hold on. We got Hosey.
Oh, wait a minute. There's one slot left. You're still in the game.
I know. So holding up
Brent
for Rooker.
Brent Rooker's got 18.
It's Hosey, Gunnar Henderson, the Polar Bear, Bobby Witt Jr., Marcell Ozuna, Alec Boehm, now Adolis Garcia. So we need one more, unless I'm missing one and there was another one.
Once again, we cannot bet on this. We know that. We've gone through the ESPN training, the video. We've done not ESPN, the MLB gambling video recently, so we cannot gamble on this. But if I could, the polar bear all day.
He's looking for his third title.
Yeah, I'd go polar bear in that group.
See if anyone else has been announced.
I would say this. I don't want now, for your sake and your hot takes, I'm with you. I would not want Rooker to be in it.
Apparently messes up your swing.
No, I want Brent Rooker to go on vacation, relax, be with wife, be with family, be with friends, and get ready for the second half. Because I got a feeling Brent Rooker's not leaving. Brent Rooker hasn't even started arbitration years yet. That starts after next season.
Yeah.
So there is and there was a look in David Forst, and I know I know David Forst. And when I looked at David Forst and I said, you don't need to trade anybody. You see the look on his face and his answer told you everything you need to know. No, he doesn't. And unless someone's going to come with some hot shot prospects, which I don't think they will, Brent Rooker could be playing for the A's again next year. And Duhar could be playing for the A's next year.
Mason Miller's
not getting traded.
Lucas Ursig. He's a guy that people BK threw him out on MLB Now yesterday.
And not one of them are looking at his numbers.
No. They're just looking at him because he throws hard.
Yeah, they're not looking at it. The numbers aren't great. And I would love to see Ursig back with the A's. I'm not going to be shocked if nothing happens. You want Austin Adams?
Scott Alexander? I can see like a veteran bullpen arm getting moved. Actually, I like TJ McFarland. Keep him.
I do. TJ's a great interview. You want Austin Adams? He's is he leading the league or is he second in hit batters now? It's in the email. Hold on. I got it for you right here. Austin Adams hit 2 batters last night. Now has 12 for the season, which is tied for the second most among all pitchers.
He had 24 in 2021.
How did you watch the outing last night? It's just like.
Meanwhile, there's a guy in AAA that's doing really well from Cal that we drafted and developed. Hey, we'll see him. That'd be Grant Holman. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe second half.
You know how I feel about the young guys at this point.
Maybe him and Jacob Wilson get promoted at the same time.
At this point, I mean, don't you want to see Lawrence Butler?
Happy birthday, by the way.
LB, 24. Boston has feasted off teams under 500. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw that earlier that they own.
You're supposed to play along and say no because you're not supposed to. They don't get to see this.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I didn't know they were that good against bad teams.
Boston has the best record of baseball against teams under 500 at 33-14. That's a really good win percentage of .702. That's called handling your business.
Means they're owning the Rays, the Jays. I'm just looking at their division.
The A's,
Angels. Everyone in this. No, the Central is actually not bad. Besides the White Sox. Detroit's, they're under, but they're a lot better than the White Sox.
How does it make you feel to know the Yankees have the worst record in Major League Baseball since June 12th?
As a big Yankee guy.
So there's a lot with Hembo. I think, though, for the third inning, we should cut up the Rooker about what he said about Rooker.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I want to lead him. He explains it better than I do, but I talk about that in the postseason all the time. Run diversity. I never call it that. But that's what I like to see, right? When I talk about slugging percentage and I talk about average, and I talk about that's what's so important right now. Looking for walks, my God. You need people that have slug and people who hit.
You mentioned, by the way, yes, you said I don't think you didn't know about Rooker in the strikeouts. He's actually not leading the American League anymore.
Not anymore. He was, though. Was not that long ago. He was.
It's Cal Raleigh of the Mariners.
How far back is Rook?
Let me see if I still have it open. I can pull it up real quick.
All righty. A prediction on when we're going to see Jacob Wilson, who all he does is hit 400. All he does is hit 400. Do you have the David Forst comment about, when you hit 400 at every level?
If I do, it's on my other computer.
Because I'd like to play that for Bill. I want Bill Moriarty's prediction. When will we see Jacob Wilson? I was hoping tonight or tomorrow. at some point. Please, can we see this kid in the big leagues? We'll talk about it next right here on A's Cast Live.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intended and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
August 5th is International Trading Card Day, and Topps would like to celebrate with you. Visit your participating local hobby shop to receive a pack of cards, plus receive a special card if you purchase $10 or more of Topps products while supplies last. You can also celebrate International Trading Card Day with Topps on August 5th at the Oakland Coliseum and receive an exclusive A's card pack. Follow @Topps on social media and visit Topps.com for more information.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit Xfinity.com/network management.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
It's summertime, and I can guarantee you probably need to redo your wardrobe. You want to look good, and you want to feel comfortable. This is Chris Townsend, and you got to go check out my friends at Link Soul. They've got all the finest fabrics. You're going to love the shirts, the polos, the shorts, you name it. Redo your look for summertime. Go to linksoul.com right now, and you can get an offer for 20% off. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
Being a Chevron car these days has been quite the adventure. Miami to Seattle, ocean to ocean. I've stopped at so many states and collected so many bumper stickers. Sometimes I feel like a moving passport book. It's just so great what I can do with Chevron with Techron, because it gives me unbeatable mileage and keeps my engine clean. Plus, there are so many Chevrons along the way. Now the only thing I'm worried about is where to go next and where to put all my new bumper stickers. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
The underdogs also in athletics win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
Hi, I'm Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer, three-time World Series champion with the Oakland A's and World Series MVP. Winning takes teamwork, skill, and heart. So when you need an ace for a personal injury lawyer that will win you the game, go with the winning team. Call Venardi Zerata at 833-VZ for me or go to vzlawfirm.com. Venardi Zerata, the official injury law firm of the Oakland A's.
Like sports, business is about winning. Championship decisions are business decisions based on what it takes to help your company win. And that's why there's UBO Business Services, specializing in helping you win every day by streamlining workflows, managing documents, and providing the best-in-class office technology. Make your championship decision with UBO Business Services. Visit them at ubeo.com. That's ubeo.com.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit xfinity.com/network management.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
You're listening to A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
You got the David Force ready?
I do, yes. Let me.
Is Bill ready?
I think he's there. Let me double check. Yes, he is.
Let's bring him on. How are you?
Hey, good. How you doing, Towny?
I'm curious. What secret portal do you have that you know about all these moves before everybody else? Because I'll be like looking on Twitter. Next thing you know, I'm like, oh, what do you like? What's going on? What kind of magic tricks do you got going there?
Well, sometimes you just got to keep your ear to the ground. But I will say this, at the major league level where you're at, a lot of people like to hold their cards pretty close to the vest, But if you're trolling around in the minor leagues, sometimes it's a little easier to find some information out if you know the right places to look.
As Mark Jackson used to say, the streets are talking.
That's right. And you got to know which streets talk, though, because not all of them talk.
I like it. I tell you all the time, you bring stuff. And because you're right. Up at our level, we want things announced at a certain time. There's timing. Minor league level, what the hell they care? This is what's going on. So you'll tweet stuff out. I'll see it. And then I won't talk about it because I feel like if I talk about it, someone might be doing what are you doing? We haven't sent out the press release. We still, it's 2024 and we're still sending out press releases. It's weird. Press releases.
Check your mail.
I might go back to the facts of the day, Bill, on this show. And we're going to have the facts of the day. All right. What are you hot on right now?
Well, I'll tell you, right now, I think there are many reasons to be excited about things going on in the A's minor league system. And I'll give you the top three things to just be excited about. And I don't think these are any tremendous surprises. One is the amazing development of Jacob Wilson. The other is the rapid development of Henry Bolte. And the other is, I think, the surprising development of Colby Thomas. These three guys have had incredible seasons. And, Jacob Wilson just drafted last year. Would you have guessed he would be hitting 450 in July? And if it's a first full professional season, I mean, if I had said that last year, you would have laughed at me. Henry Bolte, he's still just 20 years old. He's now in AA at Midland. He's hitting over 300 in Midland now. Not an easy place to hit. Colby Thomas, a lot of people never even heard of Colby Thomas. He's leading the system in home runs and extra base hits. Now he's at AAA Vegas, one step away from the major leagues. He's hitting about 275 there. He's got, I think, a 375 on base percentage. He's got a slugging percentage close to 500. He's one step away from Oakland at this point. So I think, you look at the development of Jacob Wilson, Henry Bolte, and Colby Thomas alone, forget about anybody else in the system, and you'd have to be pretty thrilled with having those three guys in the upper minors. They're not down doing this in A-ball. They're doing this up where it counts. And, a couple other guys have turned it on lately, too. They got off to slow starts. Daniel Susac and Denzel Clark in Midland, they both got off to slow starts. Daniel Susac just hit 340 in June. His average is up around 295 now. And Denzel Clark, he had the major shoulder surgery, got off to a really rough start. But I think he hit about 295 with 5 home runs in June. He's hitting almost 400 in July. I mean, almost 500 in July now. He's got, I think, 11 home runs or 12 doubles. So, things have really been moving forward with some of these top prospects, these promising guys, and quicker than expected, certainly in terms of Jacob Wilson and Henry Bolte.
All right, David Force, do you have it ready? David Force was on A's Cast Live recently, and he said this.
I don't know what the timeline is. If you hit 400 at every level that you play at, you're going to move pretty quickly.
I mean, does he? When I heard he doesn't walk enough, that was told that by 2 different people. I almost slapped him. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I have ever heard. I understand he was coming off an injury and they got the protocol when you're going to play him, how much you're going to play him. But as he keeps hitting 400 everywhere he goes, like at what point does it become silly for him not to come up here?
Well, first of all, the good news is he has drawn 10 walks this season now. So, so you can relax it. The other good news is he's only struck out 13 times the entire season so far. He strikes out, I think, on average about once every 14 plate appearances. So,
what?
I mean, it's incredible. It's like, every 3 or 4 games he will strike out. That's the contact ability that he has.
The ball club struck out 3 times on the bus just going to Fenway Park.
I mean, that's another good thing about Jacob Wilson is he's the kind of hitter that the A's lack. He's the kind of you were just talking about diverse ways of creating runs. The A's have kind of had a singular way of creating runs. If they could get a guy who makes contact, gets on base, hits the ball consistently, that gives you a very different weapon than what this team is used to. And then you combine that with guys hitting home runs, with Jacob Wilson on base all the time, that'd be great. But you were asking me about, when he might come up. I don't want to say that I have because I don't have any inside scoop on that at all. No one has said anything to me. But I will say this: he has only played 15 games at AAA so far. That's it. Of course, he's looked great, phenomenal in that time. But I kind of have a feeling that they're probably, and he's coming off the injury too. I kind of have a feeling that they're going to take it a little easy. I think they probably want to see him get 2 months of AAA in being healthy, being solid. So, I mean, my guess would be maybe September 1st. I could be completely wrong. They could call him up tomorrow. I mean, I'm not saying any of that based on anything I know.
Yeah.
I'm just gauging the way I think they usually approach these things. And, that would be my guess. But, hey, I'd be perfectly happy if they decided to say I'm wrong and call him up tomorrow. That'd be perfectly fine with me. I think I don't know if you've talked to Force about this. I think you may have, about how, people think there's such a gap between AAA and the major leagues now, and that there's a bigger adjustment time when the guys get to the majors. So a lot of times, no matter how good you look in AAA, there's a big adjustment time. But sometimes that just means, well, you got to bring the guy up a little sooner and get him over that hump a little sooner too, So we'll see what they do with Jacob Wilson. The good news is he's been doing far more than you could ever expect. And, we're going to see him at some point over the next few months. I'm sure it's just a matter of when, whether it's sooner or later.
Well, as of yesterday, Bill, We have now used 709 different pitchers in Major League Baseball, and it's gone up. What's it up to now?
Coming into today, it's 713 now.
So we've now used 713 pitchers in baseball. So most pitchers in baseball now spent some time in the minor leagues. So Jacob Wilson actually will fit right in when he comes up.
Yeah, well, I haven't noted how many pitchers the A's have used this season. I remember when we were all so excited that they had hardly used any through the first month of the season, but that changes quickly. As the season goes on, you end up using almost every reasonable pitcher on your AAA roster, ends up getting a shot. I mean, if you've got an ERA below 7, you're probably going to get a shot at some point. Look, a lot of these guys on the A's roster now were, not that long ago playing together in AAA. You're, Schumann and Harris and Geloff and Soderstrom and Butler and a lot of these pitchers too, Estes and Harris and all these guys, so guys are moving through the system fairly quickly. They're getting a shot at the major league level. I think some people like you and I would like to see people get even more of a shot sometimes, but these guys are getting there. If you perform at Vegas, sooner or later you get that phone call and you get called up. And Jacob Wilson is on that list. I'm very curious to see if we get a chance to see Colby Thomas before the end of the year, maybe in September, or if they decide to just wait till next year and have him compete for an outfield spot next spring. But I think those are the two guys at Vegas who are the most promising, and to me look to be ready to perhaps be contributing major league players.
All right, let's play that nobody gets moved game. And Andujar stays in left field. Rooker's the DH. What a battle you could have. Lawrence Butler, Colby Thomas. Maybe there's some money to spend because guys like Aletmus Diaz they're out of here. They're off the books. Maybe you go out and spend a little money in outfield as you're heading to Sacramento. Right field spring training battle could be very interesting next year. Tell us more about Colby Thomas, his game, what he looks like, what you see.
Well, a few things. First of all, I hate to say it, but I suspect Andujar probably will be moved just because the A's don't control him after the end of this season, so I think that's likely. But Colby Thomas, he's got tremendous power, leading the minor leagues and the A system, minor league system in home runs with 17. He's got 40-something extra base hits. He also has a bit of speed too. I think he's maybe stolen like 14 bases or something. Plays pretty good corner outfield. He's not a Gold Glover, but he does the job out there. He's not a terribly big guy. I don't think he's even 6 feet, but he's built pretty solid and he's pretty strong. And he's a guy that plays every day. Seems like he's rarely injured, rarely takes a day off, plays hard. He's kind of a grinder. I think the kind of guy you would like. And, he seems like a guy who wants to win, and wants to play hard. And the A's consider themselves lucky to get him in the 3rd round in 2022. He'd had a bit of an injury in college, so he'd fell a bit, but they always really liked him. But, if you look at the outfield pipeline going forward, so first of all, we've got your guy, J.J. Bleday out there. And then, you've got Lawrence Butler getting a little more comfortable. Behind him, you've got Colby Thomas at AAA. And then right behind him, you've got Henry Bolte at Midland, and you've got Denzel Clark at Midland. So, you could have, say, 5 strong young outfielders competing for spots between Bleday and Butler and Thomas and Clark and Bolte just, in the next year or so. Those are 5 very talented, still pretty young guys that could be in the A's outfield picture. So, I think that's something we can really look forward to. And you don't need all 5 of those guys to pan out the way you'd like. If you get 3 of them to pan out as you'd like, you're doing pretty damn good. So, I think the outfield picture is looking pretty good. And as you know, we've got plenty of infield prospects as well. And Max Muncy is now rehabbing in Arizona too. He's played 3 games down there, and he's hitting 400 in 3 games there. So he'll probably be back in Vegas before long, too, playing next to Jacob Wilson, I assume.
Where do you see him if Geloff is the second baseman of the future and Jacob Wilson's a shortstop? Can Muncy play third?
He has
third baseman.
He has a little bit, and I think most people who've seen him, look at him and go, yeah, he could be a third baseman. He's got the arm, he can do it, and I think that's the most. Well, that will be the question. I think he will. He's still, he's still so young. He's still just 21, and he showed a lot of power early in A ball, and the power has dropped off a little bit, but he's still got power, and he's still getting bigger and stronger too. So it's a question. But third base has been a bit of a black hole for the A's for a little bit, and you've got a lot of guys that are possibilities there. A lot of guys that look like maybe options, but I think ultimately that's the most likely landing spot for Muncy. If you got Wilson at short, Geloff at second, that's the most likely scenario. If he hits well enough to outperform all these other sort of contenders for the hot corner, I think that's his most likely position. And again, he's still just 21, and he was a first round draft pick. The guy's got power, he's got speed, he can do a lot of things. So I think he's got the most raw talent of any of the contenders for the third base spot. So as soon as it looks like it's ready to come together, I think he's the most likely guy to end up there.
Ryan Noda. We thought Ryan Noda, starting first baseman. He could be the starting first baseman for years to come for the Athletics. What you're seeing in Vegas right now, do you think we'll see Ryan Noda again in the big leagues, ever playing for the A's?
I hope so. I think you and I both really, really liked him last year. He obviously got off to a terrible start this season. Since he's gone down to AAA, he's got an on-base percentage around 400, slugging percentage around 500. What's interesting, they've been playing him a lot in the outfield there as well. So that's I was wondering if maybe, if they do deal Andujar, by the trade deadline, maybe Noda gets a chance to come back up and play in the outfield with Soderstrom at first. He was a very productive player last year. If he can return to that form, he's a valuable guy to have. But I think we've just got to see, is he capable of being that guy again? And, maybe the second half of this season, there's a good chance to get a look at him in the outfield and see, is Ryan Noda the guy we saw last season or the guy we saw the first month of this season? Because I think that's an important question to figure out going forward. But if he's capable of playing the outfield, that certainly gives us another option for him if he is a productive hitter going forward.
Yeah, because it's safe to say Tyler Soderstrom right now is not moving off first base.
Right. Yeah. And, he's done enough to stay there, and he's just going to get better. He's going to get better too. So, Tyler Soderstrom looks pretty locked in at first. And so I think that's why you see Ryan Noda playing a lot of outfield in Vegas. I don't think there's any other reason. And that's where they think that he would be most likely to end up if he's back in the big leagues with the A's. So hopefully at some point in the second half, we'll get a fresh look at Ryan Noda and we can hopefully determine, what kind of hitter, what kind of player he truly is.
I see the article you just put out. Tell everybody the young arms who you're excited about right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the guy you've got to be most excited about is Gunnar Hoagland. He spent most of his pro career injured, and I think most A's fans were looking at him as, it's another injured pitcher the A's dealt for who's never going to do anything. And but this season, Gunnar Hoagland is leading all A's minor leaguers in innings pitched. He's leading them in strikeouts. He's leading in wins. He's going out there every day. He's got an ERA now of 2.88 at AA Midland. He's taken his turn every time. He hasn't missed a start. He's out there performing very well, and he just keeps getting better as the season has gone on. Lots of strikeouts, not walking a lot of guys, showing good control, good command. So, he's a former first-round draft pick. The injuries made people, kind of sour on him, wonder if we're ever going to see him. Well, we're seeing him this year, and we're seeing what he's capable of. And he's really been one of the most solid pitchers in the A's minor league system. But a couple other guys I want to mention is JT Ginn, another one, injured most of the time he was with the A's. He's been healthy this year. He's got the second most strikeouts of all A's minor league pitchers now. He's pitching at Vegas. He's actually been pitching well, but the home run ball has kind of killed him in Vegas. But everything else looks good. He's racking up strikeouts. He's not walking a tremendous amount of guys. His last start in Vegas, again, I think allowed 2 runs, struck out 8 in 6 innings pitched. And again, he was a second-round pick, very promising young guy. He's finally been healthy all year, and he's at Vegas. So he's not that far away either. I think Ginn and Hoagland at the top are very exciting guys to watch. And if you look right below that, our 21-year-old Cuban import, Luis Morales, is pitching at Lansing. They're taking a little easy with him this year. He had a shoulder injury, and I think they're trying to limit him to about 75 innings this season. But he's of late in particular, he's really started to look good and really started to lock in there at Lansing. And then down at Stockton, Steven Echeverria, who a high school kid who was last year's third-round pick for the A's, just 18, got off to a rough start at Stockton, but he hasn't allowed an earned run in his last 11 2/3 innings, I think. And he's really started to lock in, really started to rack up the strikeouts. The command, the control seems to be locking in for him now. And, he's a very talented young pitcher and just 18 years old pitching in the Cal League. So I think looking at Hoagland and Ginn at the top of the system, being healthy, pitching well is exciting. And then seeing young, talented guys like Luis Morales and Steven Echeverria at the lower end of the system starting to lock in and do well is pretty exciting too.
Overall, how do you grade out the system? Yeah, obviously we're past the halfway point in the minor league season and the big league season. But if you had to give like a halfway point-ish type grade or overview, how would you? Because a lot of people have criticized recently the system.
Sure. I think going into the season, most people had the system ranked, not at the bottom, but, somewhere between the middle and the bottom anyway. And one of the reasons is, most of the A's top prospects are graduated to the big team. The A's need them up there. And a lot of the guys that were left in the system weren't considered like super high toolsy guys with super upside. But I think if you look at the surprising performances of the Jacob Wilsons, the Henry Boltes, the Colby Thomases, the Gunnar Hoaglands, JT Ginn getting back on track, those people are all performing well above where you could expect. So I think if you look at the performance this season, now I think it's looking good. It's to me, it's sort of an average system. You've got some really guys who could really turn into really high quality players. You got some other guys that look like, they're capable of being competent major leaguers. So I think due to the fact that so many of these guys have really outperformed expectations this year, that's made the system look a little better on the whole.
There's some guys, whenever you bring up Henry Bolton, you bring up some of these guys, it's tough to sell. Like right now, all that is tough to sell to people. But you're like, there are guys coming. Jacob Wilson is very soon. There's other guys coming. The kid from Cal, the closer.
Grant Holman.
Yeah, he's been fantastic this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think, we can look back and think about a lot of prospects we've talked about in the past, but I think it's kind of hard to find guys we've talked about in recent years that are maybe as easy to get excited about as Jacob Wilson and Henry Bolte. These guys are really as good as any of the guys we've talked about or discussed. And again, with them, it's that just catching on right away, that rapid development. Henry Bolte is just 20 years old. He was in high school just a couple of years ago. He just graduated high school like 2 years ago, and now he's hitting over 300 in AA. Jacob Wilson was just drafted last summer, and, now he's on the verge of being a major leaguer. So when you see those guys just, boom, moving through the levels, moving through the system like that, that's really exciting and that's really promising. And I don't think we've had guys move quite like that and develop quite like that in a while. So I think the guys that we can look at now are kind of exciting players at another level than what we've been used to in some of these prospects that we've discussed a lot in the past.
The minor leagues has changed. Obviously it shrunk. We have less players. We have less teams. The process part, I know everybody, it's like almost like these days we want to stay away talking about analytics and data because it's in some parts, it's like a dirty word. But so I'll use the process. The process, how we raise guys in a system. I heard Joe Madden talking about this, that years ago, if you were talking about whether it was like the Dodgers or the Orioles or the Pirates, there was a few franchises that the Cardinals, that the A's, the franchises had like a certain way. They wanted their players to play and they wanted to train them. He says, you just don't see that anymore. Just talk about all your years covering this, how just the way the minor league systems go are, I don't know if it's good or bad. I do know it's different.
Well, yeah, I think things also at the major league level, things have become more homogenized. You used to have franchises. It was like the Orioles way, like you said. But now, pretty much everybody has access to the same information. Everybody's analyzed things the same way, and everybody's like, okay, we all agree this is kind of what's valuable. This is kind of, different organizations, vary a little bit, but everybody pretty much has the same approach. I mean, it used to be, the A's were the big, analytics team, the big Moneyball team. Now everybody pretty much has a general manager that is tuned in with it and has an analytics department. But it's the same in the minor leagues. I think things have become more homogenized, the way they collect data, the way they analyze information. And certainly the minor leagues has been more affected by analytics in recent times than it had in the past too. There are cameras at all these fields and all these practice fields, and every pitch is logged, everything is logged, and you've got much larger minor league development staffs too, and guys that are looking at these minor league pitches and going, hey, you need to sequence your pitches like this. The data shows this. You need to do this to increase your spin rate, blah, 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 blah. So none of this information was available to minor leagues before. You basically used to have crusty old coaches going around going, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. You're not going to make it to the majors swinging the bat like that, kid. But now you've got really hardcore data and analytics that they're taking to these players and communicating it to them. And so the development process has been affected across all organizations by that. And, I think basically if you're sort of a smarter player who can digest that information and incorporate it into what you're doing, then it's very valuable. If you're someone who struggles with taking that information and adapting it, then you might be at a bit of a disadvantage in today's game.
It's always interesting when the goal is to win games, but right now everybody's so focused on the process. Do we focus so much on the process to win games, or do we focus on winning games and the process will help us get there? That's two different ways about going about it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and these things can feed off each other. I mean, obviously, in the majors, the bottom line is winning games. You got to win games. But
you know what? Everywhere you go, everybody is so focused on individual. Everybody's so focused on numbers, on data. It seems the process is more important than actually winning the games. Like the individual player, like the fact, like here's a great question. If we went around and asked everybody and said, what's your main objective? How many people would actually answer if you just asked them out of the blue, so they didn't have time to think about it? You're getting their true gut reaction right out of the gate saying, hey, what's your number one thing today? How many people would say win?
Yeah, I will. So, and what I was going to say is also in the minor leagues, sometimes the winning is not as important because you're trying to develop players. But I think you are getting at an important point, which I've thought about too, which is I think in the beginning of analytics, it was sort of the opposite. It was like, hey, stop looking at all this superfluous stuff, like how a guy looks. Let's look at the bottom line. I don't care if he's fat, he's overweight, if he can hit the ball, if he can get on base. That's what we want. We're not selling jeans here, right? But I think in some ways, the analytics now has become so detail-oriented, so lost in the detail, that now you're kind of losing sight of the bottom line. Because I see people going, oh my God, this guy, the spin rate this guy's got on this ball is incredible. It's amazing. Oh, and the spin rate. I'm like, yeah, but everybody's hitting it still. I mean, they're still hitting these balls out of the park. I mean, so I think sometimes in the modern era, sometimes the analytics can get a little too caught up in the detail, and they're losing sight of the bottom line. It's you got to remember the point isn't about the spin rate. It's about, throwing a pitch guys aren't going to hit well. The spin rate can help you accomplish that. But maybe if it's not helping you accomplish that, then I don't care about the spin rate. If you can get a high spin rate and guys don't hit it, well, great. I love that. But you got a high spin rate and guys are still hitting the ball hard off you. Well, then I don't care about your spin rate.
Well, a great way to put it is to look at golf, since it's an individual sport, and everybody's got their launch monitors. They got TrackMan, and everybody's now taken from TrackMan, and all these golfers have their own on the range. It's going to tell them how they're hitting it. It's going to tell them how far they're hitting it. It's going to tell them how high they're hitting it, how low they're hitting it, their compression. It tells you everything, right? And everybody's so worried about that. But then all of a sudden, you got to get out on the course and you got to play 18 holes, and whoever has the lowest score wins. And it doesn't matter all those numbers from the range that you obsess about. Right. Now you got to figure out just how to get that ball. And some of your most important shots are going to have nothing to do with the launch monitor. That's
Yeah,
why
I mean,
I talk about quick pitch all the time. Sorry, Bill, but I talk about quick pitch all the time. The highlight show, it's the best highlight show we got in baseball. They show the most highlights of every single game, every single night. And I'm watching all of these Texas leaguers, these nubs off the end of the bat, every single night decide games. And all we talk about is how hard you hit it, how hard you hit it. And I'm seeing these weak ground balls. I'm seeing weak flares, winning games every single night. It's like we're obsessed with one thing, but what you're obsessed about doesn't necessarily going to translate into wins.
Yeah, especially depending on the individual. I'm sure you know a million golfers that obsess over every little thing like that, and then they get out on the green and they choke. And it's the same with major league players. If you can't process that information, if you can't turn it into something that works for you, it's irrelevant. I mean, I love analytics; they're very valuable. But if you can't put it into work and make it work for you, it's irrelevant. And sometimes what's even more important than any of it, it's just believing you can win, believing you can succeed. I mean, you've seen plenty of players as I have who aren't the most talented guys, but man, they believe in themselves. They go out there with tremendous confidence and they'll find a way to win. And I'm hoping we're going to bring this back to Jacob Wilson, because everybody said, he doesn't have enough power. He doesn't hit the ball hard enough, blah, 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 blah. And those are important things. But I'm hoping he's one of those hitters that is just good enough and has enough bat control that he can look around and see how they're playing him. And he can go, you know what? There's a little hole there. There's a little hole there. I can dink it in there. It might not be hit really hard. It might not look amazing. It might not make all the highlight reels. But if you're a smart enough hitter who can handle the bat well, you can find your openings and you can hit them where they ain't. And I'm hoping that that's the kind of player Jacob Wilson is, even if everybody's worried about his exit velocity or whatever. If you can handle the bat well enough and you're confident in your ability to do what you can do at the plate, you can still succeed in this league without hitting 30 home runs and striking out 150 times.
Athleticsfarm.com. It's the best. You want to follow the athletics minor league system. What is your Twitter handle?
Athletics Farm. It's at Athletics Farm on Twitter, at Athletics Farm. And the website is athleticsfarm.com.
Anything else you want to promote?
That's it. You can just go to our Twitter, Athletics Farm, and you'll get daily updates, roster transactions, latest news in the minor leagues, everything you need to know if you're interested in following the prospects who will surely be up with the A's before long. And there's plenty of good ones coming.
And you get all the top people in our organization to come on with you. You do the interviews. You do a fantastic job sending your stuff that we play here on A's Cast. So if you want to get a lot of the minor league stuff from Bill, you can come to A's Cast. We play it all the time, our farm report. You're doing a great job, my friend. Going away for the All-Star break. I'll talk to you when I get back.
Great. Look forward to talking to you after the break, Towny.
Take care. Bill Moriarty, phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
Grant Holman, kid we talked about from Cal, 2 earned runs in Vegas. He's a 1.10 ERA.
When are we going to see him?
I hope soon. A 1.10 in a league where remember Zach Jackson, friend of the program. His ERA,
Arkansas Razorback.
Speaking of that, Arkansas's head coach is one of the guys on the hot seat in that article. What do you think his ERA is?
It's not good.
An 18 game Zach Jackson. This shows you what Vegas is like. 11.88.
Not good.
Yeah. I mean, those are some of the ERAs. Grant Holman has a 1.10 ERA in Vegas.
But the thing is, who deserves to come up and get some innings? Like, who deserves, these are precious innings for some of these guys to learn. We have a bunch of guys in the bullpen right now who aren't going to be here long term. Like, when are we going to start bringing up some guys that we want to give some of these precious innings to? And you just wonder, when we get, Jacob Wilson, when are we going to see it? September? We're going to wait to September?
I think beginning of August.
I don't know. We don't know, but it's like at some point, there's such a blurred line now, the way that anybody who can play has been grabbed out of the minor. The minor leagues are different. It's just the way we do it is different. And I can't tell you how many times I get a phone call. Why can't they bunt? Why can't they do this? It's like you don't train them. Part of the problem in baseball is the process, is the way we train the hitters. The way we train them, power, 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 power. Some guys very few are going to have power and can do it all. And now a shortage in our game is people who actually make contact. And inefficiency in the game is people who make contact. Look how different it was when Tommy or Marte, when he came over from the Marlins for Jesus Luzardo. Or how about when Tommy La Stella came?
Yeah.
I mean, someone who actually makes contact. They stood out greatly. It was unbelievable.
Andujar makes contact.
And Duhar. Brent Rooker, his year is completely different. Why? Because he makes contact. It's shocking how different a guy looks when he has a little power and he makes contact. But judging the minor league systems now, that when everybody tries to say pitching's just so much better. No, it's not. The numbers don't show that.
Yeah. League RA now is at 404, I think it is.
You're now at 713 pitchers used on the year, and you're over a 4 ERA. The pitching is not better. It's just the volume of pitchers that they use, and it's how bad we're training these. We're not training these guys how to play the individual game and how to win the game. We're just training everybody to hit the ball as hard as you can and as far as you can, because we believe that's going to translate into a lot of runs, which translates into wins. But actually playing the game, look how many guys, it'll be great to talk about this. J.J. Bleday and Brent Rooker, both outstanding college players. By the time they got to the big leagues, what made them outstanding, they had to scrap. They had to rework their screen. They had to rework their swings to be competitive. It's fact, right? That swing that made them top draft picks, that swing that made them All-Americans, that swing that won the Triple Crown for Rooker in the SEC, gets exposed against the better pitching. And then they have to change their swings. Well, that's a swing everybody's teaching. They're teaching you a swing to get you to the big leagues, and then you get to the big leagues, and then you got to change it because it's hard to make contact consistently. You don't make contact consistent. You better hit a boatload of home runs if you're going to hit 200 or below 200, and you're going to last.
And there's a lot of guys. I mean, Joey Gallo is barely in the league. I mean, he's still in the league, but he's barely in the league now.
You ready just to get to Mason Miller? We're running out of time, huh?
Yeah.
You want Mason Miller right now?
Sure.
Mason Miller, your all-star for the Oakland Athletics, right here on A's Cast Live. Well, now joining us on A's Cast Live, he is your all-star Mason Miller. And not only is this a special interview about him making his first all-star game, he's at Fenway Park sitting atop the Green Monster right now. How are you living?
I'm living good, man. I'm enjoying it. Proud of it for sure. But yeah, thank you for having me on.
I got to tell you, you're such an inspiration to so many different people in a lot of ways, and we'll get to that. But just, when you think back at spring training, we were talking about, well, you're going to go to the bullpen, and, we're hoping you're going to be able to stay healthy, and this is something that can be good for you long term. And now you're an all-star. Just kind of tell us how you're putting your arms around it, how fast this has all happened for you.
Yeah, it's been crazy for sure. Taking on a new role and doing it at the highest level, you always have a little bit of, just apprehension to how it's going to go. But, to hit the ground the way I did and have the success that I've had through this first half of the season, I think it's just building more and more confidence. And then it's always awesome to get recognition.
When do you think was the time where you went, yeah, this position, the closer coming in, the finality of it? When did you think, yeah, this is for me?
After the first one, you get a little taste of it, and then you can't wait for the next one.
Is it a total adrenaline high that's so different from being a starter?
Oh, pitching in a close game like that, you always want, even if you're a starter, to be pitching in a close game or pitching with a lead at the very least. So, getting the chance to pitch with a lead, all the time is pretty exciting for me. And I love coming into the game. I've said it before in several interviews, but I think the best way to put it is the guys have put in the work for 8 innings to get us to this point, and I get the chance to drive that final nail home, and I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, your skill set has definitely transferred over into this role. It's funny. We just had Dennis Eckersley, the Hall of Famer, on Sunday, and he was a career starter turned into a reliever. And he said, man, if I knew if it was going to go this good, I would have done it a long time ago. What for you? Has there been a major adjustment? Has there been anything that's really changed? Obviously, you're not going to throw as many pitches, but what has been the adjustment?
No adjustment, really. You just attack the hitters and they step in the box. So I think your miscues are magnified in moments like that. But also you still are just getting outs. That's the name of the game.
What were the phone calls like? Wife, parents, what was that like?
It was awesome just to be able to share that news. And, they're all going to be able to make the trip out for the game. So to be able to share that experience with them is something I'm really, really looking forward to. And, I just overwhelmed in a lot of ways. I'm probably not going to fully grasp the emotion and the magnitude of the moment until we're in it and living it.
Yeah, I mean, really everything. I mean, we talked to David Forrest about how the draft combine was so big for your career. You're coming out of Gardner-Webb University. I mean, it's not that long ago you're finding out the diagnosis being a type 1 diabetic, and next thing you know, your body changes, the velocity comes. This has happened all really. Does it feel like it's happened real fast? Because when I look at the timeline and when it all started happening, your age now and now being an all-star, it seems like it's happened real fast.
It does. I think I've kind of put my head down and worked, and when you get these moments that you get a chance to look up and kind of reflect on where you've come from and what it's taken to get to this point. It's happened very fast, not for a lack of effort or a lack of dedication, but 5 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting at Waynesburg University thinking this is what I would be doing.
Well, I have to tell you that, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but my daughter being a type 1 diabetic and how much she follows you now, that there is something that is so special about what you're doing, because a lot of these kids, especially when they're really young and they get diagnosed, it changes your life forever. And it's going to be a complete life change. And you start worrying about it, especially these little kids. I remember when my daughter was first diagnosed, how is my life going to be? How am I going to get through life? How big is it for you to be going to the All-Star game and that there's going to be so many kids looking at you as an inspiration saying, look, I can have type 1 diabetes and this is something that will be with me forever, but I can still be successful and I can still live out my dreams?
It's special. It's honestly emotional for me too, because being diagnosed at the age I was, I didn't have to go through the same kind of struggles. Like I was almost not more prepared for it, but I was just at a stage in life where I was able to learn, comprehend, do research on my own, make decisions for myself. And just the amount of people that get diagnosed that are, less than 10 years old, less than 8, 6, 5, whatever number you want to say, is really crazy. So for me to be able to be an inspiration for them is really special. And I take every opportunity I can get to, just have a conversation and make sure that they know that I'm a real person and I do exist. And if they're able to look to me for inspiration in their own life, that's really special for me to hear.
Yeah, my daughter's talking about you all the time. She wants me to go ask you a question. Talk about his Dexcom. There's all these different things she wants me. And it's like it means a lot. What you're doing means a lot. And I know just not for your career, but for so many kids. Have you really thought about what it's going to be like when you get announced when you're there? Obviously, as a reliever, you'll be announced. You'll be standing out there on the line in Arlington. Have you thought about what that feeling's going to be like when you're going into the locker room, you're going to the clubhouse with the greatest players in the world?
Yeah, that's the fact of it. You're sharing the field with the best of the best, and we come to work every day, we compete, and just based on how competitive we are, sometimes you forget that we're at the highest level. We remind ourselves of that every day, and we try to go out and win a game each time we show up to the field. So to be our representative, get that recognition, and have that honor, just getting to share the same locker room, share the same field, it's going to be an amazing experience that I'm super blessed to have.
Clearly, when you were at Yankee Stadium, you had some extra juice going. You had some serious adrenaline. The radar gun was showing that. Do you think you're going to have that kind of adrenaline when you're pitching in Arlington for the All-Star game?
If I can't get it going there, I don't know if I ever will again. Yeah, it's going to be, all the juices are going to be flowing, and I'm sure it's going to be loud in there in that dome. So.
Have you ever had a feeling like you had pitching at Yankee Stadium when it comes to, that just the rush, the pure adrenaline rush? Have you ever had that feeling before?
I think it's hard to quantify it for sure. This is probably the biggest stage I've pitched on, and being here in Fenway is cool. Just that atmosphere that you can't really put a finger on. It's a special place that has a deeper meaning baseball wise than you're accustomed to.
All right, so you're at the top of the Green Monster, and I try and tell people who haven't been there, when you go to Fenway Park, and obviously you can see outside of Fenway right now, I try and tell people the streets are so small because that neighborhood was built so long ago. It's not like just Fenway Park, it's like everywhere around it. Doesn't it feel like you're going back in time?
It does, yeah. It's really, really unique, really cool. The history that's happened here, it's one of a kind, no doubt.
What can you see from the Green Monster?
Well, I'm just looking out over the fields. I think walking up there, I saw some bars and restaurants outside, but not a lot going on yet.
It's guys
are about to get busy here soon.
It's a pretty good seat, isn't it?
It is. I said that yesterday, that I think it's on my bucket list someday to come back and watch a game from up there. But walking up there today was pretty cool.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud that you're going to represent all of us at the All-Star game, the organization and all the players. What you've been through, where you are, and the kind of guy you are, the kind of teammate you are. We're all so happy for you. Can't wait to watch you. You know what? I'm going to Hawaii for the All-Star break. I wasn't going to watch the game, but now I'm definitely going to watch the game to watch you participate. You've earned everything you've gotten. Congratulations. Continued success. Have all the fun in the world, and good luck in the second half.
Thank you, Towny. Appreciate it.
Tell you what, how could anybody not root for this kid? His story is unbelievable. He's just as nice as can be, as generous with his time as he can be. You could see as he gets better and his career grows, just what a special superstar as a player and a person he could be with our organization. Right? It's never going to be crazy about him, the crazy ego and everything. He's got such a good perspective on everything. Very humble, and just, that old saying, you can tell he was raised right. He's a really good young man.
They asked him on Power Alley. Duquette actually asked him, do you have an outfit picked out for the All-Star game? What are you going to wear? You wear something flashy? He goes, I'm not a real flashy guy. I'm just going to wear a suit. I'm going to look good. He goes, I'm going to have my wife with me and my family. And like he said, I think he said his best friend from back home is going to be there. So I'm looking forward to seeing him pitch. I liked your hot take yesterday about him coming in and closing out the game.
I'm going to be right on that. You watch. There's going to be baseball wants to see it. Mark Kotze's there on the bench. Bochy's got, watch. If there is a save situation, the American League has to do their part. If they have a lead, Mason Miller's going to come in and close the game out.
Maybe
How do you not highlight Paul Skeens? How do you not highlight Mason Miller? Are you people just that dumb? Are you that bad at business that you're not going to the players that the fans want to see, they have to get into the action. They have to. You have to. I mean, just use logic. Just go to Bruce Bochy. Just go to Torey Lovello, the managers, and say, listen, here's data. You guys look at data every day. Our ratings have been dropping every year for this game. We used to have over 20 million people watching this game. Last year was 7. People are finding other things to do in the summer than watch the All-Star game, which used to be must-watch TV. It's not anymore. We need to get as many eyeballs, yes. If we joked about Livy Dunn being on whatever, does she do Flora? I don't know what event she does. She's
I don't know.
National champion for LSU, but I don't know what event she did. Whatever event Livy Dunn does, fine, have it out there. I mean, do something. Bring in the Savannah Bananas. Do something. Your ratings are crashing on everything. Why not have Mason Miller? Why not have Paul Skeens? I mean, these guys are pitchers people want to watch. Remember, pitchers used to be stars. We used to tune in like, wow, Dwight Gooden is starting the All-Star game. I got to see this. We've taken the stars out of baseball when it comes to pitching. Let's get them back in. These are 2 kids that everybody wants to watch Skeens. Everybody wants to watch Mason Miller. They have to pitch in this game.
I agree. I think that I mentioned it to you.
Hey, we got to go.
We got a minute or two.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned it to you and Johnny before that I think Skeens should start the game too. And now I listened to Buster Olney's Baseball Tonight podcast the other day, and he was asking everyone, hey, are you guys on the train to Paul Skeens to start the – everyone's like, yes. I think Jeff Passan started it. But, yeah, he should start the All-Star game.
Who
I know
else?
He's only – I mean –
Who else would start it? Chris Sale? Chris Sale's not –
Ranger Suarez?
What is Chris – if Chris Sale's cutting up jerseys and then going out – oh, that's kind of a cheap shot. Is that an old reference now?
No. The way to look at it is like when Fernando Mania took over baseball.
Yes.
Fernando only had 11 starts. Everyone's like, well, Paul Skeens only has 10 starts. Fernando Mania had 11. He started the All-Star game.
Mania. Dwight Gooden was this kid just blowing gas with this crazy curveball. Get him on the mound.
Yeah, not, hey, Chris Sales, he's earned it. He's been in the big leagues. He earned it. He's earned it. Big leagues. He's earned the All-Star nod. No, give it to the guy that's exciting. I'm sorry, I'm not tuning into the Chris Sale pitch. No offense to Chris Sale. I loved him when he was a White Sox.
I already lived that this year. Alex Wood, veteran, earned it. Earned what? He was terrible last year with the Giants, and we made him our opening day starter, and now he's on the 60-day IL when JP Sears had 32 starts. This mentality is just crazy. Great. What sport doesn't want to showcase the hottest thing? The hottest thing, the hottest action, the hottest. By the way, did you see the NBA sign today? NBC.
Oh, is that official?
ESPN and Amazon. You know who's out?
Turner
and TNT. We've been telling you the new world. Look, Amazon. The new world. Unreal. But yeah, I mean, things are changing, and if you don't stay up, if you don't have the hottest stuff going. I mean, that's what's sad. The All-Star game, you have no competition. You own this date. You own this part of the summer. They're trying to own these few days, right? With Home Run Derby, the Futures game, the draft. They're trying to own it. And it's unfortunately not working. I don't know. Have Paul Skeens start the All-Star game, and let's see what the ratings are at the start of the game. And then have the broadcasters constantly saying, well, Mason Miller could be closing this thing out, trying to hook people to stay because people want to see Mason Miller. Mason Miller has thrown the baseball over 100 miles an hour.
It was 278, right? Yesterday.
278 times. The next closest guy is 178. He's 100 behind. Read that stat all game long and then let Mason Miller come in and close the game out.
Do you think people are tuning in? No offense to the guy, but do you think people are tuning in to see Phillies reliever Jeff Hoffman come into the game because he was named an All-Star?
Who?
Yeah, exactly. The former, I remember, was a Rocky and he couldn't get anybody out. Now he's an All-Star for the Phillies.
Unbelievable.
And he's a not a closer. He's just a middle reliever.
We want to see stars. I mean, that's the bottom line. You want to see stars. Let's get our All-Star game. I mean, that's why back in the day, the All-Star game meant so much. Man, Willie Mays played all 9. Henry Aaron played all 9. The stars of the stars played. Not, well, we got to get this guy in. Oh, my God. All righty. We want to thank Mason Miller for stopping by. We want to thank Paul Hembekides from ESPN and Bill Moriarty from Athletics Farm. Up next, Game 2 of the 3-game set between the A's and the Boston Red Sox right here on A's Cast and the A's Radio Network.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Being a Chevron car these days has been quite the adventure. Miami to Seattle, ocean to ocean. I've stopped at so many states and collected so many bumper stickers. Sometimes I feel like a moving passport book. It's just so great what I can do with Chevron with Techron, because it gives me unbeatable mileage and keeps my engine clean. Plus, there are so many Chevrons along the way. Now the only thing I'm worried about is where to go next and where to put all my new bumper stickers. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
August 5th is International Trading Card Day, and Topps would like to celebrate with you. Visit your participating local hobby shop to receive a pack of cards, plus receive a special card if you purchase $10 or more of Topps products while supplies last. You can also celebrate International Trading Card Day with Topps on August 5th at the Oakland Coliseum and receive an exclusive A's card pack. Follow @Topps on social media and visit Topps.com for more information.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the games. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. They have a new spring menu with special dishes and a full bar with new delicious spring cocktails. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
It's summertime, and I can guarantee you probably need to redo your wardrobe. You want to look good, and you want to feel comfortable. This is Chris Townsend, and you got to go check out my friends at Link Soul. They've got all the finest fabrics. You're going to love the shirts, the polos, the shorts, you name it. Redo your look for summertime. Go to linksoul.com right now, and you can get an offer for 20% off. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit xfinity.com/network management.
Nestled in the hills of San Jose, minutes from Silicon Valley, Cinnabar Hills Golf Club offers 27 holes of championship golf, first-class pro shop, practice facility, and great food in the grill. This time of year also means family and business get-togethers. Let the folks at Cinnabar Hills make your event unforgettable while enjoying their award-winning venue. It's all there for you. Championship golf, a great space for any events, and incredible food. See it all at CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intendant and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.